this January 3rd, 2023 regular meeting of the planning board. I'll rise for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we have 3 regular members here. Ms. Miller is not able to make it tonight due to family commitment. And I have not heard from Mr. Harden, but either way.
I'm assuming he'll be coming. Is he on the docket?
Sort of.
Sort of.
Yeah. Yes.
Not anything where he actually has to be present. So in any case, Ms. DiPietro would be appointed as a regular member and can vote on all proceedings as well as participate in all proceedings. Before we get too far along to approval of minutes, I'd like to ask the board if we could modify the agenda as such, and that would be to move 5D, Hancock Lumber, up before 5B and 5C. Since that's a full application and the others are notices of decision or findings of fact and conclusions of law.
Okay, I move that we move Hancock Lumber 5D to 5A.
Okay, well, it would be 5B, but that's okay.
Oh, 5B, okay.
Okay. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion?
Whatever the chair wants.
Thank you so much. What a nice
Whatever.
gift for the new year. All in favor, please raise your hand. 4-0. Thank you. Okay, so Hancock Lumber will go, and I think their folks are here, will go after Camp Woodlands. Okay, next order of business is the approval of the minutes of December 12th, 2022. I'd accept a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gibbs. Is there a second?
Oh, gotta get to it.
You got a second?
Seconded by Ms. DiPietro. Any discussion? I did read them and they looked good to me. All in favor? 4-0. Ken, if you have any typos, send them along.
All our secretary has been very good.
Yep, has been. And before we get going too far, Happy New Year to everybody in 2023. Hope everybody made it through the 2 storms reasonably well. There will be more to come. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Old business, public comment. Speakers may be limited to 3 minutes. This is for any public comment that's not necessarily on the agenda. If you want to make comments on Camp Woodlands, we have a public hearing. If there are comments on anything else, if there's anybody in the audience that would wish to speak, please go to the mic. Is there anybody on the Zoom that would like to speak? General comments? Appears not. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. Old business, 5A Camp Woodlands Road, map 6, lot 40. Public hearing for the final subdivision plan, which was turned in, which we first looked at December 6th. I hereby open the public hearing and would ask that if the applicant could go up to the mic and I know you gave a general overview before, but if you could just give a very quick summary, and then any updates to new abutter concerns or wrinkles on prior abutter concerns, and anything the board asked about at the December meeting. December 12th meeting, excuse me, 6th meeting.
Sure.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
can he also detail any changes from the first submittal to this one.
The preliminary to the final?
Yeah, the
Yep,
Sure,
specific details, how they're different, if they're different.
from the plan that was
From the
approved
plan that was
preliminarily?
approved to the
Yes.
one that you're presenting to us now.
Absolutely, yep, I can do that. For the record, my name is Mike Tadema Wieland. I'm a civil engineer with Teradyne Consultants. I'm here with Jeff Bowley, who is the applicant. He's Camp Woodlands Camp Development LLC. Thanks for having us. We look forward to answering some questions tonight, hearing some public comment, and hopefully receiving final approval for this. It was on July 19th that we received preliminary approval. That was some time ago. Since that time, there have been really very few changes to the plan. Of course, the board approved the preliminary plan conditionally with the condition that we reduce the number of lots from 13 to 12. So that is the major change between the plan that was preliminarily approved and the one that you have in front of you now. And the reason for the big time difference between July and when we submitted the final application was we were working with DEP on the stormwater permit. So we submitted that. DEP's these days is taking their time with reviews. It took a number of months. They had some comments. They received some public comments, I think very similar to the ones that you've received, and we responded to those. It didn't really result in any design changes. Really, the stormwater management plan addresses phosphorus, and it addresses erosion and sedimentation control, which was approved by the DEP. And the report also, the stormwater management system also addresses peak flows, which is the issue of how much or what is the rate of stormwater runoff leaving the site. So that was all studied. The phosphorus and the erosion control were approved by DEP. We've submitted that approval order. And with regard to some of the comments, I don't think we have many updates for you, Madam Chair. I know you had a question. You made a comment at the December meeting.
yeah, I asked that you explain how the clubhouse meets the standards for that district in the use table, how that use is rationalized.
Sure. I can address that. And are you specifically talking about the underlying district, which is the Lakeside Neighborhood District, or are you talking about how it fits in to the shoreline zone?
Sure.
Specifically, the use table for Lakeside Neighborhood, but also if there's an aspect of shoreline zone in there that
I think they're the same.
then you should bring that up.
Sure.
So the reason I say that, I think as you know, is one of the abutters, Ms. Bailey, mentioned that the Lakeside Neighborhood, if you look in the use chart, a clubhouse/lodge is not allowed as a use in that district.
Sure.
And of course, shoreline zone's an overlay in a part of that district, but the district still applies unless shoreline specifically overrules it,
Sure.
I believe.
Let me just get there.
Just for the,
So the clubhouse is not a primary use, right? The clubhouse itself is accessory to the subdivision, right? Without the subdivision, the clubhouse doesn't exist. So it is an accessory use. It's not a primary use. So and accessory uses are allowed in the Lakeside Neighborhood District with approval of the reviewing authority. So in this case, the planning board has the authority to review and approve an accessory use. And the same thing is true of the Shoreland Overlay District. Uses accessory to allowed uses are allowed in the shoreline zone. And so that's how we believe that.
Could you just, well, I have a further follow-up question. Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Gibb.
I would probably prefer that it's, that you justify the building from the shoreland zone in number 21, which allows public and private recreational areas. So, structures possible.
Where is that? Which section of the shoreline zone?
Number 21, minimal structural development. I don't know what is, what would be meant by minimal, but how large is the clubhouse?
Clubhouse is,
It allows minimal structures.
sorry, I've got a boatload of documents.
And we'll try to move along fairly quick here so we can get to the public, but I think that was one of the items that was,
Sure, so the clubhouse is 56 feet long and 20 feet wide.
So that's 1,100 square feet, approximately.
Approximately, correct.
Yeah. And the size of the parking lot?
It holds about four cars.
That's all, okay. Yeah, there's a 20%, coverage of impervious. That's a limit.
Within the shoreline zone.
Yeah.
within the shoreline
Yeah,
zone.
yeah.
But there's also, I think, there's been an impact statement submitted that turnaround area won't be used for parking.
Oh, okay. That's
So
good.
we'll get to that, but
Why couldn't it be a community center?
well, that's
I'm just asking a question because community center is allowed.
in that neighborhood.
In Lakeside neighborhood.
Yeah.
So you're saying that's an
And I'm looking at the
alternative.
definition of it. It's a place or building used by the public for meetings for social, educational, or recreational activities, or similar uses, none of which are operated for profit. And that's certainly,
Well, I sort of think the shoreland zone should be predominant in this area. But we'll see.
Ken, I still haven't found what the standard you're talking about. If you could just,
21 in the use chart, land uses for the shoreland zone. 21 allows public and private recreational areas involving minimal structural development. So clubhouse is a structure.
okay, so this is, right, and then it goes on to explain that.
Then
But
there's
it also allows accessory structures. Okay, I think we don't want to deliberate, but we have some information here. Can you elaborate on, there's not going to be a kitchen in this, right?
There's so the uses in the clubhouse, there's a small kitchenette, like a 6x6 kitchenette. There are 2 small bathrooms. There's going to be kind of a great room, if you will, kind of that will take up the majority of the floor space. And there will be a deck off it. And then in the basement will be some storage for residents of the subdivision.
Okay. All righty, so you're looking at it as an accessory use. We've heard some other comments about where it fits in. Okay. Could you address in terms of any changes from the first plan to the second plan? Was there, I know a 10-foot setback is required essentially around the perimeter, and between the lots, I believe, or maybe it's more between the lots. Was there a larger perimeter buffer in the first plan or not? Or was it 10 feet in the first plan?
There's never been a perimeter buffer, if you will.
Well,
So
let's just say,
setbacks.
let's say the setback,
Setbacks.
was there more than a setback of 10 feet between proposed lots in the subdivision, the existing abutting properties off of O'Meara Lane?
No, it's never, no.
Okay.
There's been discussion with the Handrahans about the common property line between Lot 3 and their lot. You'll remember one of the first plans we submitted had an access road there.
Yes.
They strongly opposed that, and we removed it from the plan. And now there's a now Lot 3 just goes up to the property line. So there's it's a residential lot abutting them as opposed to an access road.
Okay. And I saw one comment from an abutter that said that the buffer.
You want to look at this?
Easier for me to quote this now. Okay, it was the buffers in this section.
Sure.
That those had changed, and he was concerned by the other, whether it's, both privacy and stormwater. And I frankly, I didn't notice any change in the stormwater buffers between the two plans in that lot. But were there any?
So again, way back, I think when we first submitted this plan, there was a building proposed there. It was kind of a boat storage building.
Right.
Again, the abutting homeowners opposed that. They didn't like the proximity to their lots. It's been removed from the plan. That open space, there's no plan for clearing in that open space. The plan is for that to remain forested. There are 2 stormwater buffers.
Right.
And a stormwater buffer is a specific type of buffer that is deed restricted, right? If there's pins in the ground that delineate the corners of the buffer, there are deed restrictions on what can and can't be done in that area, and it has to show up on a plan, right? The area in between those 2 buffers, isn't a stormwater buffer, right? We're not sending stormwater to that area to be treated and filtered and infiltrate into the ground like we are in the areas designated as stormwater buffers, but the area in between isn't proposed to be cleared at all.
Okay. And so it's buffer 8, I think.
Yeah.
Buffer 8 and 9. So those stormwater buffers, I believe those were there in the original plan.
Those have not changed.
Okay. And you don't plan
since
to
the preliminary.
you don't plan to cut the property that's listed as open space?
In between buffer 8 and buffer 9? No.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll remain in the condition it's in now, which is forested. Again, it's not designated a stormwater buffer because we're not directing stormwater to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we ask questions or wait
Well,
until the public?
I'd like to have the public go unless you got a real pressing question about, what's before you.
Well, it seems pressing to me, but maybe the public should go.
Well, okay, if you're willing to defer. So let's turn it over to, for public comments. Is there anybody present in the room that would like to comment on the application for the Camp Woodland subdivision? Okay. Is there anybody on the Zoom that would like, or on the, I don't know if it's Zoom or GoToMeeting, but.
Yeah, this is Allison Bailey. I have questions.
Yes, before you, ma'am, before you comment,
Okay.
could you please just state your name and your address for the record? And just for the others on there, the other public on there, on the Zoom, there is an icon you can use that shows you're raising your hand. If you can find that and put it up there, then our our administrative staff will know who to recognize next. Okay? So, Ms. Bailey, again, you go ahead first, and please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, I'm Allison Bailey, and my home is at 60 O'Meara Lane in Bridgton, and but I also live in Virginia. So, but I have a kind of a general question. Are we supposed to be asking questions as he's presenting these changes, or are we supposed to be waiting to the end and ask questions? Because I don't have a raise your hand icon on my Zoom for some reason, so that's why I just kind of started talking.
You may make a public comment about anything that's in this application. So
Okay.
that's...
Because I wrote questions down and I sent them in, and I hear some of them being addressed, but I still have questions with it. So so that's what I'm going to address right now. So as far as what you just mentioned, as far as it being number 21 on the table 2 for the clubhouse, that's recreation low intensity, and when you see the definition of it in the land use ordinance back at the back, the recreation low intensity, they're saying structures are minimal, which is picnic benches and other things like that are very small. They're not a huge building that has bathrooms and a kitchenette in it. So I'm still saying that I don't see how this is being approved as an accessory. It seems to me that it should be a primary structure.
Okay. Do you have another comment to make?
Well, as based on what we were just talking also is there was the buffers when you were talking about that, they had promised that when they took that road out, there would be a 30-foot buffer between lot 3 and the Handrahan lot, and that's not there. And they also took out that boathouse area, and they said that was going to be a permanent forested area, but that hasn't been documented. So even though the subdivision plan doesn't plan on taking trees down there today, it could be done in the future by the homeowners association that takes over, or they could do it as soon as they get approval. So I just wanted to know how that gets memorialized, and that it should be the 30-foot buffer by the Handrahan, and that the area between lot 8 and 9 are permanently forested areas. So those are my questions so far, based on what he's been talking about.
Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll, unless the applicant wants to do it differently, what we normally would do is allow all the questions to get out, and then the applicant will address them all at once. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I would prefer that we hear comments, and I would, if it would be my preference that there not be a back and forth between the applicant and the public, right?
Yes.
To me, this is the public commenting to the planning board, and then if the planning board has further questions for me, I'm happy to answer
Right,
them.
so what I would say is we follow our standard procedure in both the planning board manual and our bylaws. The public should be allowed to speak.
I would like to speak.
Yeah, just
Lauren.
1 minute, please. You need to be recognized first. 1 minute, and we'll get there. Just for everybody, the procedure will be abutters, both in favor and against, will speak. The applicant has the opportunity to rebut or address concerns brought up by the abutters. The chair should direct that. There should not be debating between board members and the applicant, or between members of the public and the applicant. So I just ask that you go through the chair, which is myself, and as an extension, staff who are on the Zoom. Ms. Day, do you have a comment?
Yeah, we're getting comments that they don't have the raise the hand feature. Can you explain why that is? Do you know? I don't know.
It's somewhere.
I don't have Zoom open, but usually if you touch the bottom of your screen, you'll see either at the bottom of the screen or the top right hand corner, some icons or setting icons, and if you hit those, you should see it.
There should be toggles in the upper right
Yeah.
hand corner.
I'm sorry, but I don't have one.
Well, it's there.
Okay, well, in that case, what I'd ask is that,
It's under the reactions, at the bottom of the screen, they have share screen and all that. There is reactions and there's a raised hand, it's like where the emojis are.
yeah,
A raised hand bar.
and that's on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, at the very bottom of the
Yeah, it
screen.
should be.
So some of you may have to move your cursor to that end of the screen. Failing at the bottom, and it should show up, just as was just shown in the room by Ms. Day. Failing that, what I'd ask is you unmic yourself, but don't speak until staff lets me know who's next. Otherwise, we'll have several people trying to talk at once. Okay?
Okay, is Allison finished?
So, Ms. Bailey, are you finished at this time?
Yeah, those were, my questions were directed towards the planning board, okay? Because there was a discussion on where the clubhouse fit in. And so I thought I heard that it fit in under number 21, and I was just asking how, based on the definition in the land use ordinance, how does that fit underneath 21? But it's just, if I'm not allowed to ask questions like that, just let me know.
No, you're
that's
allowed to
fine.
ask, but what I would say is you've heard a couple of different ways to look at it from board members and the applicant, and the board really can't now start explaining how they're going to judge it.
Okay.
So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah.
So my other question is, from based on what you said, you're going to let the person representing the Camp Woodlands development finish going over the changes that he has from the last one, and then at the end we'll be able to ask questions?
No, he's already gone over the major changes. So what we're doing right now is any comments that any of the abutters or members of the public want to make, they should make them. And what we will do is, once all the comments have been taken, the applicant will have a chance to address or rebut those concerns.
Okay. All right. Well, then I submitted this in writing, and they were not addressed by the applicant. So the first one was that I didn't feel that they were really in compliance with the Bridgton comprehensive plan, and I laid that out as far as that the comprehensive plan indicated strict compliance with the shoreline zone at the time in 2014, and that had the 2-acre requirement in the shoreline zone ordinance for the shorefront common areas. And there was posted in your website that the summary of changes, when you combine the two documents in one, did not include relaxing requirements for a shorefront common area. So that's one item. And then another item, I said that I had section 1-6.c, that the subdivision approval, once it's done, that they cannot, sell or develop land unless they're going to get it approved again by the subdivision. And I just don't understand, once the lots are being sold and you're developing those, how you're meeting that requirement. And then the next one was section 1-7F3 requires the exact size, location of the structures to be built, and the layout of where all the homes are going to be and the driveways, and that's not provided in this subdivision plan. And section 1-7F4 has not been met because they didn't provide the wells, the existing wells that provide water to the Handrahan lot and for the buildings that are currently on the lot.
Yeah, we have all these questions from her.
Right. We do have these questions, just so you know, Ms.
Okay,
Bailey.
so I just wanted to understand, because the last time people just didn't address them, so that's why I was reading through them. But if I don't need to read through them,
No, you don't need to.
okay.
I will address one of your questions right now, which has to do with the comments on section 1 of the ordinance, which really is about the submission and then whether the board considers it complete for review. And the board has already taken that action. So we're now in the review process, which means if the board wants additional evidence or wants to impose conditions for a standard, they can, but we would not go back and declare the application incomplete, which we've already said is complete. The other comment I would make, and I just don't want to get into deliberations here, is section F3 refers to structures that are proposed to be erected. And the plan has, for the subdivision, all the proposed structures in it. So I don't think that's intended to mean, we'll discuss it later. If you look at the subdivision requirements do not require the exact location of homes. So I don't want to get into it further than that, but we're beyond section 1 in terms of the application submission at this point. If there's something the board feels is missing, then the board should definitely ask for that. Okay, so.
Okay, all right. Let me just ask one question, because in section 6, there's a lot of stating requirements for the life of the proposed subdivision. So during the life of this subdivision, there are going to be houses built on it. And doesn't that require the subdivision plan to be resubmitted? You're modifying this subdivision plan that you're right now, it's just a road.
I think the applicant will be able to talk to that later, but the short answer to your question is no, it does not have to be resubmitted because there's not a location of individual homes in the subdivision plan. There is a building envelope which is defined by setbacks.
But in the one section where they have the pre-planned unit development, they talk about having conceptual plans for homes that are built later. Why wasn't that?
This isn't a planned unit development. This is plain old subdivision with individual homes that will be built as lots are sold.
Subdivision is determining the lot.
Right. Correct. I think Mr. Madsen made an important point, which is subdivisions determining the lots and the number of lots and the characteristics around those. There are some assumptions, I think, in the stormwater plan, which I believe the applicant can go over later, that includes impervious area, which I believe, per DEP regs, includes a certain assumption about the size of homes and driveways and all of that. So that is built into the plan, which I think was a concern. I think you had.
I know that was a big concern for me, and it still is. I don't believe that.
Well,
that's my personal opinion. I got an email from the main DEP that said it was just for the road. So.
Okay, so we'll address that later. The applicant will have a chance to address that later.
Okay.
Okay, who would like to speak next?
I would like to speak. This is Lauren Handerhan, 49 O'Meara Lane. At our last meeting in July, I thought, there was a lot of good back and forth between the developer and the abutters. And I was allowed one question before the temporary approval was given, and I was asking the chair, how is this going to be memorialized, everything he's agreed to? Mr. Boley approached us to get off our well that is located on Lot 1 of his subdivision, and the lines go through Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 3, and that was never disclosed on any of his maps. And there is a cistern or some type of drainage easement next to the well. We thought we had, he approached us to please get off the well. We said we would be amenable. We are the only lot on the downhill side, Lot 3, that does not have a stormwater buffer. As far back as the first walkthrough, I think we tried to clearly state and show people the pooling of water and the type of runoff that goes down there. Hence the 30-foot buffer zone. And Jeff, we've sent you some letters saying that he was amenable and agreeable, and we would make changes to the plan. There was a few other things that we, in order to take over the old O'Meara Lane, that he doesn't want to keep anymore, which is totally fine, but we would like to know, we have seen nothing in the plan. We've basically seen no changes to the plan except for reducing the lot. So we asked, that the other thing about the lines that are going through Lot 1, 2, and 3 is directly in line with his septic tank. In fact, one of the lines got broken when he was digging septic fields. So we understood and was amenable to getting off as well because of lines going through three of his lots. But we also said that we were super concerned, and we walked through with all of you to show you how much water and how much runoff actually goes there. And at the last hearing, I asked, how are these agreements going to be memorialized? And we were told by Mr. Boley that he would talk to Mike from Teradyne, and they would make these changes, and we have not seen any of those. So we're very concerned that we're the only lower and the lowest and steepest lot that has no stormwater buffer. We are concerned that the location of our well and the lines going through 3 lots are not memorialized, and they're running underneath his septic fields. We had discussed, he had said that he would be amenable to doing the buffer zone above O'Meara's lot, so that in the future, somebody couldn't change that, and we would have some type of agreement on the road. So we're happy to take it over, but we actually have to memorialize how to maintain it, what is the footage. There was also some questions on being able to see the HOA docs, which we have never seen. The O'Meara's, where the parking is, we're very concerned that it's very close to their home. And how are you going to control, if people are way up the hill and they're going to the lake with a lot of stuff, they're absolutely going to drive. So is there an ordinance or anything? We asked all these questions, and we were waiting to get responses, and we have not gotten any response. So and when I asked a question to the chair last meeting in July, they said that before anything final was done, these things would be addressed. So that's my questions.
Okay, fair enough. One comment is, I don't know why you haven't gotten it, but the protective covenants for the HOA are part of the earlier submission, I believe. So they are available to any member of the public.
My understanding, though, is there was some things, and I didn't go back through the old meeting and write things down word for word, but there were several things, what I just ticked off, that we were told in writing and otherwise that these things would be changed on the plan to memorialize some things we were concerned about that we all thought we had an agreement on. So, as Mr. Teradyne said, we don't seem to have any real change.
Okay. All right, thank you. Just a comment, the board doesn't sign off on, when the board approves a subdivision, they have to sign off on the final plans. So if there is something there the board feels needs to be represented on the, I think you're talking about the existing conditions plan, that can be done. So
Okay.
But it's up to the board to specify that.
Okay, and I mean, mostly if that's my water supply and we were unable to, come up with an agreement to get off of the well up there, which is fine with us, how are we going to know we're going to have safe water if it's going through like 3 septic fields? And is that not normal that that doesn't get disclosed on a subdivision map of private well?
I think I'm going to let the applicant go over these questions. Are you speaking of the proposed septic fields, or I assume that's what you're speaking to, the proposed septic fields which aren't built yet?
Yes. If you look at where there's a drainage cistern or something on lot 1, it's very close to the location of our well. And the piping goes down the hill under lot 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Huh. That's confusing. Their well is on lot 1 of the subdivision?
Yes, they said that in the very beginning.
Yes, but they no longer own that unless they have an easement.
I think the applicant will speak to that.
Yes.
Yeah, we have an easement to the well, but it's the private well was never listed on the maps, and we were hoping and we were told that things were amenable, and all we wanted was a 30-foot buffer because we had no stormwater buffer behind us, and we're the steepest lot at the very bottom, and they've brought it down to 10 feet now, and we're not amenable to that. So it's fine for us to keep our well. I just want to know what protections we're going to have, and there's nothing been memorialized on this going through the easements of all 3 of those lots. How do we know that if they're putting a septic field right where our lines are, that something's not going to get hit or leaked? And it's my understanding from the LUO that this had to be disclosed private wells. So that's just a concern of ours, and just memorializing a few things that we all thought we had agreements on. So I appreciate it, and that's kind of my question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else on the Zoom that would like to speak?
Yes. Can you hear me? This is Jerry O'Mara.
Yeah, please state your full name and address.
Okay, this is Jerry O'Mara, and my address is 76 O'Mara Lane. And that is tax map 32, lot 2.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do, and I wrote in a letter our concerns, and I won't go over the exact same angle that Allison Bailey just articulated with regards to shorefront common area requirements. The only fact I'd add there is that in the application that was delivered in April, it says that the common area is 84,456 square feet, which falls short of the dimensional requirements of 2 acres. So I just want to make sure that that is being considered as we go through this process. Then two other concerns that we have articulated before, and I'm not aware of any change. One is around the dock placement and the number. It looks to me, when I look at the most recent drawing that was provided, I recognize that the lots went from 13 to 12, and we all appreciate that. It looks like there are 13 docks on there, not 12. So, just as I'm looking at it, that's a concern. Also, as expressed, we are concerned because we own the location directly next to it, and the location of the dock is leaning on on our side rather substantially, and we're nervous about boat traffic being very close to our swimming area. So just a concern. Also, as Lauren mentioned just recently, the parking area, the orientation, if you look at the map, it's really right facing the corner of our main residence. And so we're concerned about the orientation there, and there's no plan that we're aware of, because I believe the board is considering waiving a landscape plan. If there were some way to create a buffer there, that would be appreciated. And then one thing that we're not sure of is what's the lighting plan for that area? Are there going to be existing large lights that are going to be, intrusive, either along the road or along the parking lot, or frankly along the clubhouse? Because we abut all of those, and we want to make sure that that we can coexist, if you will, without aggressive lighting next door. So those are the things that I articulated. The rest of the the broader reasons behind it in my letter from last week.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rivera.
Thank you.
And I do believe the board has seen all the letters, at least certainly I have, so I trust the rest of the board has. Okay. Is there anybody else on the Zoom line that would like to speak? All right. Okay, in that case, is there anybody in the room who didn't speak and has changed their mind? Just so we're thorough, okay? So then, seeing none, I'd ask the applicant if they could address some of these concerns of the abutters.
Sure. I've tried to jot them down as best I could, but if I missed one, if the board has further questions on, please speak up and let me know.
Okay.
I honestly think you've addressed most of Ms. Bailey's. I will address the impervious area on the lots.
Yeah, I would like to.
And if you've got more, if there were others of her comments that you'd like me to address, I can. I think much of them had to do with procedure and ordinance and submission requirements and so on and so forth. But so yeah, I think you did a good job of explaining that this subdivision plan, we're designing common infrastructure, which in this case is the road and the clubhouse and some of the open space areas, and we're defining where these lots are. It's a plot plan, right? And these lots will be sold and developed by individuals. Of course, that we as designers, I as an engineer, I need to design the subdivision in a way that ensures we're not causing problems downhill or downstream, resulting from increased runoff, increased rates of runoff, increased volumes of runoff from the subdivision. When we develop a piece of land, we very often add impervious area, we change drainage patterns, and we need to study those to see how that's going to affect downstream areas. So when we design a subdivision, we make assumptions about those lots because, of course, we don't know what's going to be built on those lots. And for this, we assumed 3,500 square feet of impervious area on a lot, which is a pretty generous home and driveway, and 10,000 square feet of lawn area surrounding that. In this subdivision, Camp Woodlands, I think, as you can imagine, the name suggests, it's going to be the feeling that the developer, the applicant, is going after is camp-like, right? And so the less clearing on these lots, the better. So that's where that assumption of impervious area comes in. Beyond that, yeah, we're not showing where houses are because we don't know where they're going to be. That's up to
So
whoever buys
the
those
assumption
lots.
is the driveway and the home, there's no sidewalks, right? So it's primarily the driveway and the home is the impervious area on the lots? Septic does not count as
No.
impervious area? Well doesn't count as impervious area? A normal septic? And, well, any septic, I think.
I hope a
So,
septic isn't really impervious.
yeah. So, you hope it's not impervious.
Yeah.
So the 3,000 square feet, or
3,500.
3,500 square feet, will dictate a certain size. How is that memorialized? Does that mean, so if somebody wants a 3,000 square foot house, 2 stories, they have 1,500 square feet right there. And then, I don't know, we'll take a 30-foot driveway, or let's say they don't mind a long driveway, even 100, I don't know if any of those support a 100-foot driveway, but 50-foot driveway, 20 feet long is
1,000.
another 1,000.
That's
So you're at 2,500 with another 1,000 to spare. So I think, of course, this is laid out in the stormwater plan, which is approved by DEP, and I think one of the questions was, how is that memorialized in terms of the subdivision plan so that it doesn't exceed that? Somebody doesn't come along and put 2,500 square feet of a home first, with 2 floors and then a 100-foot driveway, which would exceed it. So I do have a question for Ms. Day relative to that, which is, Ms. Day, when you provide permits, if you don't mind coming to the mic, sorry, could you just address that when you provide permits for a home, do you consult the subdivision plan to see if there are any restrictions?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So if there was a restriction on impervious area that was tighter than what the code allows, you would impose that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Floor back to you.
Thanks.
And I guess my other question about that is, Ms. Bailey refers to the DEP approval only including the road.
Yes.
Could you comment on that?
I can. So the way the DEP phosphorus analysis is done per the DEP's stormwater manual for a subdivision or for a project of this scale. So when we're talking stormwater permit, there is a next level of permit, which is called a site location of development permit for a bigger project. That's a little different. For a project of this scale, which falls under the category of stormwater permit, we only look at the road for phosphorus loading. So how much phosphorus is being generated by the road and the other common infrastructure, which in this case would be like the clubhouse and that sort of thing. And we don't take into consideration the lots because, again, we don't know what's going to be built. The way the way that works is every lake has a budget, a phosphorus budget, right? DEP says every lake in the state can receive X number of pounds of phosphorus a year. And depending on the size of the lot you're developing, you have a certain percentage of that budget. So for our parcel, where this parcel is only allowed to export a certain number of pounds of phosphorus a year to the lake. And we have to show that the development is going to produce less than that budget. And when you have, when you're working within stormwater law and you're only taking into consideration the road, you're only allowed to use half of that budget. So we take the total budget for the piece of parcel, we cut it in half, but we only look at the road. So there's this, the whole other half of the budget for phosphorus can go into lot development. And that's the way DEP looks at it.
And is that...
So for phosphorus loading, that's how it works. But what I said earlier, for when I'm looking at peak rates of runoff and runoff from the parcel, volume and rate of runoff from the parcel, I want to make an assumption about impervious area on the lots.
Okay. Just a follow-up question there. In the subdivision standards, for the additional review criteria, item A, it says that the loading study must be conducted using the methodology contained in the main stormwater management design manual, phosphorus control manual, volume 2. Is this what you've used?
It is, yep.
Thank you. And if there are other key assumptions that you made in that, could you just educate the board there in terms of the phosphorus loading for a subdivision?
Sure. Well, I'll just talk a little bit about how we treat for phosphorus. And buffers are really probably the best way to treat for phosphorus. Distributing the runoff in sheet flow through a forested area captures the vast majority of the sediment, which is what holds the phosphorus. The DEP also determined that that this project would receive a credit in the phosphorus loading calculation for taking a gravel road, which can, when water runs over gravel, it picks up sediment and it can create more phosphorus. So it's being redeveloped as a paved road. So there was some credit that went into that as well. So it's a fairly complicated calculation across 5 spreadsheets that DEP provides and asks you to fill out. And it results in, really 2 numbers. What's your budget? How much phosphorus are you allowed to export from the site? And then how much phosphorus are you proposing to export from the site? And as long as you're proposing to export less than you're allowed, that condition or that standard is considered to be met. So we've done that.
I have one more question about that stormwater management design manual. And I don't pose to be an expert at all. You're that person. There's a section in here that says requirements for new single-family lot development. It has a basic SFR lot standard and an alternative SFR lot standards. Did this fall within those or a different category? The reason I ask is because on the basic standard, the disturbance on an individual lot has to be less than 15,000 square feet and no more than 7,500 square feet of impervious cover, which seems to me it's less than that. So that's the root of my question.
Yep. So for this, you have to go out of the manual and go to Chapter 500.
Okay.
In Chapter 500, talks about for subdivisions, it talks about that provision that I talked about for subdivisions with a new road. You take your budget, total budget, cut it in half, and only consider the road.
Okay,
So that's where,
okay.
that's right out of
So you
chapter
get
500.
pointed to another place?
Yes.
Okay, okay, sorry, just wanted to be really understand the stormwater if you go on to the next set of
Sure.
water
And
questions.
I'll point out this is what happened. We meet with DEP very early on. We talk about these things. How are the calculations going to go? You're going to only look at the road. You take your budget, you cut it in half. You know, they guide us in how to do these calculations, and then we do them, and then they review them. They comment on them. If we have to revise them, we do based on comments, and we arrive at approval, and that's what we've done. So I hope that gives the board a level of comfort there.
Brenda, did you have a question?
Allison Bailey is raising her hand.
Excuse me?
Allison Bailey has her hand raised.
Okay, let's let the applicant finish with addressing all the initial questions, and then we'll come back to Ms. Bailey.
Can we ask him to address a question that has been raised?
Well, he's going through them right now.
But I thought he's glossed over one.
No,
Not done yet.
he's not done yet.
Well, I thought so. Okay. I thought-
If at the end, if when I'm done, you've got
If
a
when he
question,
gets to the end,
Okay.
he didn't cover something,
please remind me.
then,
Sorry, Ken.
I'm gonna go to Lauren Handrahan's comments. So let me explain the well. There is a well in the area of proposed lot 1.
Can you show me where it is?
Yeah. If you have, do you have the plans in front of you?
yes.
Bureau.
Right up here, I was just,
So if you look at the existing condition, which is it's the second sheet. So it's page 2. Sheet 2.0.
I have to go page 3 on this one.
Sheet 2.0.
This is your original.
Yep, there you
It'll
go.
show.
So up in the sort of the northwest corner, there's a utility pole and a small building that houses that well. Do you see that?
So that's shown right here,
That's this drainage easement?
or right
No,
here.
I'm sorry, that one sheet to the existing condition.
Existing conditions.
Where's page 2?
Sorry. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
and on page 3, it's right there.
So
That's the
there.
full easement.
So that falls within lot 1, or the proposed lot 1. And so this is a well that is owned by the applicant. It's on this parcel. It's owned by the applicant. It's not owned by the Handrahans. The Handrahans have an easement that allows them to draw water from it. Period. Right? It doesn't. It's not. Again, they don't own it. It doesn't prevent the applicant from drawing water off it. It's just a well that they have the right to draw water from. Not the best situation, right? And I don't know the history of it. I don't know when it was installed. There is a written easement for this, and the applicant wants the Handrahans to have their own well on their own property, and he's offered to pay to install a drilled well on the Handrahan lot. So, sure.
Jeff Balley, applicant. So I believe the board has been provided, and I apologize because it sounds like I've been gargling gravel here in advance of the board meeting. The board, I believe, has been copied on correspondence back and forth with the Handrahans. We have offered the Handrahans $25,000 and provided the documentation to essentially, resolve this issue, where they would essentially be written a check, which I think is well above and beyond what the cost would be to drill a well on their own property to resolve the issue.
So that's the ideal resolution for the applicant, would be if, in return for payment to drill a well, they will, the easement will go away, right? It'll be extinguished, or whatever the term is. If for some reason, and I'm hopeful to. I think what you've heard tonight from Lauren Handrahan is that they hope that works as well. If for some reason the Handrahans choose not to accept that, the applicant would move that well on, which again he owns, on the property and provide relocation of the water piping to continue service to the Handrahans.
So you would, so just so I know what you're actually saying as an alternative, is that, and I'm going to make an assumption here, I'm going to spit out, that well would be relocated most likely closer to the Handrahans?
Correct.
To a different lot, closer to their home, with just the pipe going from that well to, okay, all right, thank you.
And again, we're hopeful that the Handrahans haven't agreed to this yet. My
So you're
suspicion
hopeful
is they're
that they'll
waiting to see how
accept
the
the-
subdivision approval
Yep.
plays out, but we're hopeful that, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't want their own well on their own property.
Okay.
But, so, we're happy with, it is unresolved. We feel like there are two paths to resolving it, and we're open to a condition of approval on that if the board,
There's a test pit right next to where that well is today, is there not?
there's probably 50 feet away or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
This is Lauren. When you're done, this is Lauren Handrahan. I don't have an icon. Could I be able to speak when you're done answering, please?
Yeah, I think you've got Ms. Bailey and in front of you, but both of you will be able to speak after the applicant has finished providing his answers or explanations, and the board has also been able to get clarification, and we will go back to you folks.
Okay, thank you.
there's been a question about a buffer on the common lot line between the Handrahans and Lot 3. There's no, to my knowledge, there's no requirement in the ordinance to do that. There's certainly no need to put a stormwater buffer there to meet the standards, right? We've already met those standards as evidenced by the DEP approval, the stormwater management standards. That said, the applicant has offered to put in a 10-foot vegetated buffer on the plan, and that could be added to the final plan prior to signature between those two lots.
So could you just clarify what along that lot line, that this discussion of the 10 versus 30-foot buffer is? Remind me the vegetation that's there now?
It's forested.
Was there a proposed road in the first there?
There was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Along with our original submission, and prior to preliminary approval even, was that there was an access road that connected up to O'Meara Lane.
Right. Did we walk on part of that, or were we?
We walked through that area.
Yep.
O'Meara Lane. So again, all the lots that use O'Meara Lane today for access, which includes the O'Mearas, the Handrahans, Ms. Bailey, and I think others. I don't have a complete list in front of me. They have sort of an undefined easement, I'll say, so that there is written into the deeds that they have access rights over the Camp Woodlands property to access their lots. But that's never shown up on a plan anywhere or been described anywhere. Of course, it's O'Meara Lane, but it's never shown up as this is a location of
No
that
bounds.
easement. Exactly. So what we've done to sort of clean that up is we've delineated a 30-foot right-of-way over O'Meara Lane. So it's memorialized. So in the future, everyone says, "Oh, there's their access. That's their deeded access." None of the proposed lots will use O'Meara Lane. It'll exclusively be used by the lots that use it today. The homeowners association isn't going to be responsible for maintaining it, right? They don't use it. It is on their property, and these people, the lots downhill of it, will have right to use that right of way. So that's really the extent of it. I don't know that there's anything else required. The fact that it shows on a subdivision plan that'll be recorded in the Registry of Deeds will sort of memorialize that.
Okay. Question. Will you do any improvements on O'Meara Lane?
No.
No.
Again, it's for those lot owners that use it to maintain it.
To do it, yeah.
Just a quick question in addition. Who has been maintaining the road up to now?
I don't know the answer to that. Jeff, do you? We don't know. Perhaps some of you butters do know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now on to Jerry O'Meara's comments. There is a question about the shorefront common area, and it was brought up prior to preliminary approval. We've clearly stated how we believe the ordinance addresses that. I think we've heard from the code enforcement officer, who I think has heard from the town attorney. We've heard from the shoreline zoning coordinator at the state level. And I believe the planning board agreed with all those opinions prior to granting preliminary approval. If there's further discussion on that, I'm happy to get into it, but otherwise I won't.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yeah, could you explain, is there a miscalculation somewhere? Because the abutters say it's 84,000 something square feet, and it should, of course, be 2 acres, which would be close to 89,000 square feet.
Yeah, so I think what the abutters, several abutters have interpreted the ordinance to say that a shorefront common area, the ordinance says a shorefront common area has to be at least 2 acres in size.
Yeah.
For a subdivision of this, serving this many lots. And they contend that 2 acres has to be entirely within the shoreland zone. And the area, and of course, the proposed shorefront common area is larger than 2 acres, but the area that's exclusively within the shoreland zone is that 84,000. So,
yeah.
Again, they're contending that you need 2 acres in the shoreland zone. We've heard
Within the entire shoreline, yeah.
We've heard from several others, and again, it's our opinion that the ordinance doesn't say that anywhere.
What is the exact size of the common area?
And just the shore,
No, not
it
just
should-
the whole thing. Yeah, not
The
just
contiguous, yeah, but the common area has to be.
I see the line, but I don't
Reason
see
I'm
the
making
calculation.
comment is there's common open space for the subdivision, and then there's a
Not that.
shorefront common area.
We'd have to calculate.
So
So that's the main reason I'm asking, because they have different
So there's a
purposes.
contiguous area that include, and I'll go point to it on the plan over here. It includes the area down by the shore, and it also connects up into this area where we were talking about the stormwater buffers.
Yeah,
And that is 3.2 acres.
so,
So it's defined as open space too?
It's defined, the contiguous area is open space 2.
Yes.
so
That's where you see.
if,
Let me give you one more piece of information.
okay, I have a question depending on
Yeah,
what your
I
next
think
piece of information
I think I
is.
might know what you're gonna ask, Devin. And so, if you were to strike a line, so clearly, the area down by the shore is more in line with what you would think of as a shorefront common area.
Correct.
If you were to strike a line from the corner of the hammerhead to the property boundary, and just include this area that's sort of below the hammerhead, that's 2.1 acres. So you've got a little less than 2 acres in the shoreland zone, and then a little acreage outside of the shoreland zone. So that total area would be about 2.1 acres.
Okay,
So if I need to draw that line and designate that as shorefront common area on a final subdivision plan, I'm happy to do that.
I think that would be very useful because
I can understand.
common open space is defined, it's really got a different purpose within, and you think of a subdivision that's not on the water, and then the common area, common shorefront common area.
Yeah.
We have open
is-
space defined
yeah.
in the plan already.
Right. So,
I
right.
can understand
So
the
I
need
think,
for that.
I think that would be very useful. There's also different requirements for common open space versus a common shorefront area.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Back to the comments from Mr. O'Meara. The dock location, again, I feel like that was discussed prior to preliminary approval, and the board accepted the position of the applicant. The number of boat slips, I agree with that comment from Mr. O'Meara. Nowhere on the plan have we, I don't believe anywhere on the plan have we noted how many boat slips are allowed. But certainly the intent is one per lot. So I can add a note to that plan
And take
that
the
says.
13.
Well, you
says
just
12 boats.
remove that last finger, and then
Yeah.
you would,
Exactly.
that would work.
Yep.
Follow-up question, I understand from our preliminary discussion why, you didn't commit to moving the dock, but in principle, if it was possible to move it a little further southward, is the applicant opposed to that? And if they are, what's the reason?
I don't think so. I think what we talked a little bit about in the past, and I'm sure some of you have seen a boat dock go in. These are temporary docks, right? They go
Right.
in and they might not be in the same exact location every year. The condition on the bottom can dictate some of that. Defining an exact location is difficult. I think certainly the applicant wants to respect the safety concerns of the abutters. But where it's shown, I think it's closer to the midpoint of that shorefront than it is to
Not on the December 2nd.
theirs.
I think what he's saying is if this is the
Well, yeah.
midpoint,
Yeah,
then
that's,
it's close to the midpoint,
Right.
not right on the line.
Exactly.
That's what I think that's what he's saying.
yeah.
Do you know, as shown on the map, the approximate distance to from where the docks are to as shown on the map, which I know is an approximate location? Do you know what the distance is to the O'Meara lot line? I know we know that, I just don't see, looking for it as I look at the map.
It's about 100 feet, I would say.
Okay. Okay.
That's probably 100 feet, that's 300 feet.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
Yep. The parking lot. So I'm not sure if there's a misunderstanding with that. If you look at sheet C 5.5, which is close to the end of the plan set there, it's kind of it's a smaller scale or larger scale detail of the shorefront common area. That parking lot is oriented so headlights will be going towards the lake, not towards, certainly the intent is not to have them park
Yeah, it's going this way.
facing the O'Mearas.
That's the hammerhead.
Okay, now,
It,
yeah, I found it, but it kind of depends on where it's, because,
the cars could be parked facing the O'Meara lot.
yeah, they could face into the O'Meara lot, right
Or they
where,
could face to the clubhouse.
right where it enters well, I see the gravel parking lot. Right.
Yeah, it depends on where you orient the parking spaces. They could be oriented toward the lake or toward the O'Meara property, one or the other.
And they could be oriented south.
Yeah, I think the intent
Yeah.
is to orient them, well, I know the intent is to orient them towards the lake.
So this gravel parking lot looks pretty large. How many, I thought you had talked previously about maybe 4 vehicles or so on it?
Yeah, yep. So it's about, the width,
It's 800 square feet.
you know, the dimension parallel to the shore, where I'm saying the cars would park side by side, is about 40 feet.
Okay.
That's
And the rest of the area is
Maneuvering.
maneuvering?
Yeah.
I see.
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
There's lighting, there are no street lights proposed. There will be small residential lights on the clubhouse, certainly not,
no street lights for the parking lot or anything as such.
a post-top type residential light.
What about the clubhouse? Any lighting around that?
Yeah, again, residential scale lighting at doors. It's not intended to be lit up.
Okay. I think I have one more question regarding some of the answers you've given. And then the rest of the board doesn't have any questions, we'll go to the public one more time. In the correspondence between the applicant, Mr. Bowley, and Hands, I think he mentions that, the 30-foot buffer, recognizing that, or setback is what it is, would cause issues for that particular lot, which I think is that lot 3?
Yes.
Yeah, so what are the anticipated issues if that were to be a 30-foot setback versus a 10-foot?
Yeah, I think it puts somewhat of an unreasonable restriction on the lot, makes it harder to sell, and again, it isn't, at least in our opinion, necessarily required to meet the review standards.
Okay. Does the board have any further questions about what they've heard from the applicant? Mr. Gibbs, is there
No.
something you wanted him to speak to that he didn't?
No, okay, he's covered it. Thank
Okay.
you. Also, just as a, for information, in the shoreland zoning, section 15 covers structures also, and it puts them back 112 feet. So structures are mentioned
Yes.
as being permissible.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think when we get to deliberations, we're going to have to discuss that's when we should discuss that meeting area or whatever
Yeah.
it is. Clubhouse, I guess.
Clubhouse.
Be the best way to put it. Okay? All right. So why don't we go back to Ms. Bailey, I think, first, and then Ms. Handrahan?
And then Mr. O'Meara.
Okay. All right.
Okay, this is Allison Bailey again, 60 O'Meara Lane. And my first comment or question was that you were talking about the 3,500 square feet taken into account in the stormwater plan and how that might be a restriction on the subdivision. However, the drawings that I see only limit the impervious surfaces per lot to 20%, I think it is, or 30%, I can't remember, which is significantly larger than the 3,500 square feet in their analysis. So I just, what they're saying is in their analysis. So what I would like to know is if you're going to, if the CEO is going to be looking at the subdivision for restrictions, I didn't see it in there, in the HOA or in the drawing, so I don't understand.
It's a standard part of the process, and if that is described in the subdivision plan as an assumption in the plan that, for instance, the stormwater report relies on or the phosphorus export relies on, then that can't be modified. It can't be overruled by the land use specs. So that's what the CEO has to go by. They have to go by the spec as signed in the plan, which has to meet the land use code, but if the 3,500 is what I'll give as an example, if that's what's defined so that there's an approvable stormwater plan and phosphorus export, then that has to be stuck to. And the CEO would look at that, and if somebody wants to change that, then that is a subdivision amendment, and that individual lot owner would have to come to this board.
Okay, and where would that be? It's just in the report that he submitted for the stormwater, or is that in the plan somewhere?
It can be described in the findings as well under several sections.
Okay, all right, as long as that's documented, that's great.
That's the primary document.
As a limitation.
The primary document that the CEO will use is the findings of fact and conclusions of law, and any references made within that document, which would obviously reference the plan.
The other question I had is relative to the O'Meara Lane. I had sent some pictures recently of the amount of water that goes down that O'Meara Lane, and I can answer the one question. But when it was Camp Woodlands and it was run by that it was a maintenance road that was taken care of by the owners of Camp Woodlands, that section of it. And since then, I'm not sure the previous owners, most recently, if they were taking care of it, but obviously it's very out of date being maintained. And we just do spot checks just so we can pass along it. But But the amount of water that currently comes down that road totally washes it out in front of the hand lot every year, and we have to do a lot of maintenance. So I know what we're using here is that it can't add or increase, you're saying, the water flow, but the existing condition is unsatisfactory, and it does impact the lower downhill lots. And I just hoping that the planning board will take that into consideration when they are looking at this. And they're with the requirement for a subdivision that non-conforming roads should have some kind of requirement that this is in their subdivision, and they should maybe improve it a little bit before they turn it over to us for full maintenance, and make sure that we can have proper drainage off of that, so it's not all coming down onto the hand section of the road and washing it out. So that would be a really good consideration for this subdivision. And also, I'm very confused. They keep saying that there is a right-of-way documented in the site plan, but I don't see it. The way I see it is it's being discussed as an existing private way. It's not in the HOA. It's not. I don't really see it on the drawings, but maybe I'm misreading it. But they talk to it as if it's an existing private way, and I think that has a different meaning than a right-of-way. But maybe I'm wrong. Those are my questions.
Okay. Is Handerhan?
Hi, Lauren Handerhan, 49 O'Meara Lane. I just want to reiterate, we're not trying to cause problems for Mr. Bowley. Mike from Teradyne led with the very best way of keeping stormwater at bay is through natural vegetation and forest. Those are old, dense woods that we're asking for a buffer for. We believed in our correspondence, which we have sent to you, that we had an understanding. It was agreeable and amendable, and we'll make the changes. And now it has not transpired. You know, while I understand that Mr. Bowley wants us off the well that we have deeded rights to, I'm a little miffed that none of this was put in the plans from beginning so that the planning board knew the well was right next to a drainage ditch and 3 septics go right in that area. And in fact, when they were digging septic pits, they hit our line on lot 3, and we were out of water. So we've been amenable. We thought we had an agreement. So we're not doing this for more buffer. It does not do us anything. It's just a wood line. It just will catch more of that water. And as you've seen, just in the middle of winter, you see that that gets washed out. Until there is some type of agreement, you know, I don't know how we move forward without knowing, like, what kind of agreement we're going to have, or that this was marked, or you know, and we have to be agreeable to the agreement, which we thought we already had. So we're very open. We've even come back to Mr. Bowley to say, you know, we understand. And when, you know, we asked him for the buffer in lieu of a stormwater, and redoing his plan that would have cost him time and energy with DEP. So we weren't worried about it because we thought we had, you know, an agreement and we would be seeing something forthcoming. So I just want to express that, and I'd like to know how something like that gets resolved before a permit moves forward. And the other thing is, I'd like to know the definition of the shoreland zoning ordinances. Do they not only, you know, I don't know of any shoreland zoning ordinances above 250 feet of the shoreline. Maybe I'm reading the ordinances wrong, but and the one other thing is that we keep referring to the town attorney and what she said, but we have never seen a response. There was some type of phone call to Brenda Day, but no one. And just for clarity and understanding, not trying to be a pain, you know, it feels like we should have a response on that. But that's it. You know, while I understand everything about the well, it is a deeded well. It does go through 3 septic fields, and we thought we already had an agreement on the stormwater buffer, which Mike says the forest is the most important thing for deterring water. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I think we'll address how we resolve the well situation when we get to deliberations, but I think with the boards, what's been represented to the boards is there's 2 solutions. And, you know, so I think we're gonna be most concerned, at least initially, with,
If there's 2 solutions,
your current
If
well,
there's-
excuse me?
if there's 2 solutions, we would appreciate knowing what they are.
Well, the 2 solutions mentioned are, A, leaving as is, which would have to be described in the findings and would have to be described on the final subdivision plans and shown. That would have to, that's one option, which I think the applicant mentioned is, you know, using your current well, but they talked about moving the location of the easement for that closer, moving the well on their property closer to your property so that it's not such a long, you know, stretch over 3 acres. So that was 3 lots. That was one thing the applicant mentioned. And of course, the other you both mentioned, which is that disappears, and for purposes of the subdivision plan, it would disappear, and, you know, because there's an agreement between yourself and the applicant. But I think that's where we are, is proposal that the well continues to be an easement on the applicant's property, but closer to your property so it doesn't cross over these 3 lots. That all would have to be properly described and protected.
And I just want to state that we're still amenable, like we told Mr. Bowley, in doing what he agreed to in June and giving us a buffer, and we would be happy to, to abide by what we kind of thought we had an agreement on. And, you know, if not, we would have to be in agreement of whatever he's moving on our deeded well.
They're negotiating.
Thank you.
Right. So, okay, so one suggestion I have is that you folks continue discussions in fairly short order and either say you haven't resolved it or you have, so that the board can make its final decisions.
Okay.
All right? Is that it, Ms. Handrahan?
Ben O'Meara's up there.
Yep. Mr. O'Meara?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yep.
Good afternoon. My name is Ben O'Meara at 76 O'Meara Lane. And I just wanted to take a moment to bring up the dock placement again, because I feel like it's been sort of glossed over in all of the meetings thus far, and some numbers have been thrown around about where exactly that dock sits relative to our swim area. And I know 100 feet was mentioned. What that is actually the center line of the dock in their plan. So then when you account for the fingers that stick out, probably 30 feet, it's really more like 70 feet from our swim area. We have great concerns about the safety and enjoyment of our swim area. I have small kids. 12 boats pulling into those docks is a great concern. All that we're asking is, can we consider simply putting the center line of that dock at the midpoint of their shoreline, which is 320 feet long? That would solve a lot of our concerns and would be quite neighborly. And then I feel I've been patient with this issue for a while, but it just seems to get glossed over in each of these meetings.
Yep.
Historically, there was a swim dock closer to our shoreland, our swim area, which was a big horseshoe-shaped dock that was, had a lifeguard tower on it when it was a camp. And so, people were swimming in that area. There's never been boats pulling into that area, ever. The boats were always further south on the property, and there were slips along the shoreline. I just question why this has been such a difficult thing to consider adapting in the plans. It's always been at the 1/3 mark, about 100 feet, the center line of the dock, closer to our swim area versus further down to the other side, which is deeper water. I understand the docks go in, they're temporary docks, they go in every year, but I would love if it had a departure point at approximately the middle, 160 feet. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Go ahead, please go to the mic and state your name and address.
Do you want my personal address or LEA's?
I would represent both.
Okay, I'm Lauren Pickford. I'm representing Lakes Environmental Association. My address is 12 Church Street, and then LEA's is 230 Main Street. I just wanted to say we've sent comments twice on this, written comment, you've seen them. I would just say LEA maintains the opinion that this proposal doesn't meet the acreage requirement for the shorefront common area, and based on the logic of only part of that being in the shoreland zone, you could have like a T-shaped lot where you meet the frontage per dwelling, but the rest of the lot kind of just goes back up the hill, and so you could have lots that are basically waterfront with that logic, and we would just recommend that you get like a clear written opinion from the state before like accepting sort of this variance of that standard. That's our opinion.
That's LEA's or yours?
It's LEA's opinion.
And you had one yourself?
No. I'm at work right now.
So just a point of clarification, Ms. Pickford. I may have misunderstood you, but
Sure.
Were you proposing a change in the configuration of the current common area that you believe meets or LEA believes meets the?
I mean, what we believe meets the common area standard is less than the 2 acre requirement. They just don't have 2 acres in the shoreland zone, which is the standard.
Okay, so you weren't proposing a different
Nope.
configuration?
It's the same opinion
Okay.
we've maintained the whole time.
Thank you.
They were just saying that it can make a T-shaped lot.
Yeah,
Okay.
based on that precedent.
Yeah. And logically, yep. Got it. Anybody else? Any questions from the board?
Well, the first question is, do we have a ruling on whether the shorefront recreation zone has to be in the shoreland zone? Does it have to be?
Ms. Day? Well, first of all, at the end of the day, it's the board's interpretation of the standard, okay? So it's going to be up to us as to whether that's required.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's stated anywhere, is there any verbiage that says that this?
Well, I think what what people are, abutters are referring to is in the dimensional standards for shorefront common areas, which is in the section 3, which is the kind of the dimensional standards section of the land use code. Mm-hmm. And it says shorefront, the following dimensional standards, and we shouldn't deliberate on this, but this is what it says. The following dimensional standards apply to shorefront common areas located within the shoreland zone. Shorefront common areas must contain a minimum of 2 acres. For shorefront common areas that serve fewer than 3 dwelling units or grant less than 3 rights of use to the common area, the minimum size is 1 acre. So that's the common area he's referring to. The applicant is correct that in the preliminary subdivision plan, we ruled, this is what we ruled in the preliminary, we ruled that the standard does not state that the entire portion of the common area must be behind the shorefront zone line. And then in addition, we had an opinion from Kalinich of, the shoreline zone coordinator. And I'll just ask Ms. Day. Ms. Day spoke to Ms. Dixon, who I think concurred with Kalinich. But Ms. Day, you want to just relay the conversation you had with
Yeah,
Ms.
so
Dixon?
I had spoken to the town attorney about what Jeff Kalinich had sent to us for an opinion on two things. One of them was measuring the shoreline, because that was a question, and the other was for the 2 acres in the shoreline zone. She agreed with Jeff's interpretation on this from DEP, so she said that was all the conversation was, is that she agreed with this interpretation.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we do have an opinion on the frontage from council.
We have an opinion on the frontage.
Yeah.
We have the verbal understanding between her and Ms. Day on the size of the common area.
And we do have the documentation from Jeff.
We have the documentation from Mr. Kalinich, who's the shoreline zoning coordinator, who is the guy that approves our shoreline zoning part of the ordinance and approves this ordinance. And we have also at our disposal a letter from Mr. Bowley's attorney speaking to that, which was turned in. I didn't see it until today, but I did read it. So you have those items. I think what, if I may assume what you're trying to ask for is, should we get a written opinion from our
Do
attorney?
you want me to read that short section that he wrote just on that common area?
Sure, yeah.
So he wrote,
This is Mr. Kalinich.
Mr. Kalinich, yeah. Dimensional standards for shoreline common areas is not required in the ordinance to meet Chapter 1000 minimum standards. Does not make Chapter 1000 requirements less restrictive. It is not located in the shoreline zoning section of the ordinance. Since it is not located in the shoreline zoning section of the Bridgton's ordinance, the area required is not limited to the area within shoreline zone. And that is on page 40 of our land use ordinance.
Okay, that's what he
Okay,
said.
so that's his opinion. So again, I ask the board, do you want to get something in writing from our attorney, or are you satisfied with what we've got?
I'm satisfied with that opinion.
Ralph? Kathy?
And with the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other? Nope. Okay. So I think the next step, I don't think we should close the hearing and deliberate tonight, because you've talked about, we may be able to close the hearing, but I think there's some things that need to be represented on the map and updated. And we also have other people behind you. We're running over the schedule, and that's my bigger concern, is that we won't see any of the other applicants. We don't have anything scheduled for the third Tuesday, which is the 15th of January.
Third Tuesday is
16th, isn't it?
Today's the 3rd, right?
3rd and 14th, 17th.
17th.
Okay,
yeah.
it's the 17th. See, it's a good thing I have you guys. What would I do? Because I don't get dates straight at all. So we could deliberate on the 17th.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Yeah. Since this is a subdivision, it's in the lakeside, does the lakeside overlay the subdivision? I mean, 'cause
It's in the lake, so if you look at the land use code, what it says about interaction with the subdivision is that certain elements of the dimensional standards, the bulk standards, don't apply. But it does say that uses apply. So structures and uses in the lakeside neighborhood regardless of whether it's a subdivision, still apply.
But not dimensional standards.
Certain dimensional standards. Some dimensional standards apply, like the setback, others don't.
Yeah, the reason why I asked is that Lakeside has a buffer requirement between properties.
So why don't we quickly, without deliberating, go to that? So where are you in, which section are you in?
I gotta get there.
And we are running a bit late, so.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, this is important.
Yeah, Lakeside neighborhood states that, oh God, where is it? It's got a buffer in there somewhere.
Which section of the land use district are you in? Are
I'm
you in the,
trying to find it.
are you in the dimensional standards that you're talking about? Or are you in the other sections?
Let's see. The front, minimum setback, maximum setback.
So if you're in the district-specific,
Oh,
if you're in the district-specific space and bulk standards, it says right at the very top that
where did it go?
that those standards don't apply for a subdivision.
I thought so, but,
And that's for the district
so there are,
space and bulk standards. For the dimensional standards, so let's just walk quick through this because we are going to be deliberating on the 17th. Oh, I don't know, I must be hitting something on this thing. On the dimensional standards, if you go to schedule of uses first, because you are talking about both. So there's nothing that says that subdivision standards don't apply to the use table. Okay? Remember, the shoreland zone is an overlay on the lakeside neighborhood, not the other way around.
right.
If you go to the dimensional, go to the next thing, which is the dimensional standards, you'll see that it says under section 3.3 dimensional standards, page 36, item B, except as provided in 7K dimensional standards for subdivision lots, all uses, structures, and lots must comply with the following dimensional standards. Okay? So, section 6.7K of the subdivision standards basically list frontage and lot size
Right.
for a subdivision of this type. It does not,
It doesn't give buffers.
buffers are only required for certain types of subdivisions. That 25-foot, like a condo. Okay, now, I'm looking at Lakeside neighborhood, and it's got a number of items listed, but in terms of setbacks,
It has a 10-foot setback.
the front setback is 20 feet. The setback from any common lot line, which is one that's not on a road, is 10 feet,
10
which is
feet.
what the hands are referring to. And the setback from other districts isn't applicable. Okay, so that's what's there. And so
Excellent.
I think the board has to deliberate on how that clubhouse is classified as a use, and I've looked very carefully at the definitions for an accessory use or structure for what's allowed in the shoreland zone, and for any other uses that are allowed in the lakeside neighborhood. And so I think I would recommend you study some of that before we deliberate.
Sure.
And I don't know, is there anything else you want to add, Mr. No? Okay. Mr. Mattson?
I would just hope that there could be some resolution to the issue with the well.
Yes, I think you've got a couple weeks. It would be most helpful if that was resolved in some way.
Okay.
You know, I would just suggest, you know, also that although it's clear by the letter of the law, standards are met, if there's a way you can satisfy some additional concerns, that's always helpful. And I would very carefully look at, same thing I've asked the board to, which is the clubhouse. You know, I would say it's pretty unusual to have one of that type of, not to say it's not allowed, I'm not going to go there, but it is, there are a lot of other options for a structure like that. So I would think about that.
Can you clarify that? Or you say there are a lot of
Well,
other
I'll give you an
options?
example. There are some, regarding Mr. Gibbs' comment about the type of structures that are allowed in the shoreland zone, which this is in the shoreland zone.
Understood. Okay.
It describes something fairly simplistic. You know, our shoreland zone has and this was before our shoreland zone, the shoreland zoning, a gathering area that I'm familiar with in an association that was established a long time ago, okay, is got open sides and maybe a center fireplace or something like that, but no ability to cook and that sort of thing.
Sort of a pavilion.
Okay.
Like a pavilion.
Understood.
Yeah. And so just, I mean, I would think carefully about all that. That's my only advice. And again, we're not deliberating.
I know.
I have no idea, you know, where we're going to go with it. Just want to, you know, there's been a lot of questions around that.
In the interest of time, assuming this is scheduled for the 17th, I would request that we close the public hearing now. I think we're starting to hear the same comments over and over. And again, these are comments to the board. I think very few new comments, if any, have been made.
I think,
And
I understand where you're coming from.
And I just fear that we're gonna have it be the same, in the same place at 7 o'clock at night on the 17th.
I think, to be honest, from a procedural point of view, we certainly don't want to drag things on unnecessarily, but it may be beneficial, not just to the abutters, but to the applicant to leave that open, because you can, you know, if you do submit new information, obviously people can comment on it. But sometimes it's helpful to leave it open so that we don't have to reopen it. But that's just, I would actually like to ask the board, do they feel like they've got enough to close the hearing?
I don't see why we can't close the hearing on the 17th and go right into deliberations.
Okay, so you would
Yeah.
leave it open till then. Kathy?
Yeah, I've got concerns about the
There's
resolution.
a lot of little loose ends here.
Exactly, we
do
have a
tighten.
lot of loose
I think
ends.
you would agree if you think about it.
The well situation, the clarifying the condition of the right-of-way. There apparently is some width between the applicant and the abutters regarding that. The dock situation,
I guess
those
it's
kinds
my
of things.
opinion that, again, this is the board reviewing the application and making a decision, not
Understood, and by the way, that's the way we view it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what you're hearing from the board is there's a few loose ends and explanations that could be very helpful.
Understood.
And
I respect.
I think that what we don't want to do is, and I'll say this for everybody here, our ordinance asks us not to unnecessarily prolong these. And in fact, we should be making a decision on this within 60 days of you turning it in by the letter of the law. So, and you know, often that's something that needs to be followed. So if, unless there's no way to do that. And so I believe our first review started on December 6th, which means by February 6th or thereabouts, we should be handing you a decision. So, I mean, that's one way I would look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry if it seems as if we're going over things. Want to make sure that we're really clear about a lot of the details here before we make a decision.
I understand.
So Mr. Tima-Whelan, or Tadema-Whelan, and and Mr. Bowley, does January 17th work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Day, are we,
I'm
the
just
third
checking,
Tuesday?
Are you not having a workshop that night? I'm just checking this is on the calendar.
I guess
There's a
not.
workshop on the calendar. We haven't defined any topic for that, so unless the board would like to do both that night, I would say we're not going to have a workshop.
Okay.
Sounds
The
like
board-
having a regular meeting.
Yeah,
Is the board okay with that?
I'm okay with the one item.
Okay. I mean, we do need to get on with some ordinance workshops, but I think we got to get some of these applications taken care of.
Yeah, so the public hearing will be continued.
Yeah, so the public hearing is left open to be closed on the 17th of January, and then we'll deliberate.
Can we have a small break now?
I'm not just here. 5 minutes, because we're about 20 minutes behind, or 15 minutes behind.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Okay, next on the agenda, per what we decided earlier, is 5D Hancock number, Portland Road, map 9, lot 60A. Is there anybody that wishes to recuse themselves? Okay. My review shows that the applicant made proper notices and has standing. I just note for the board that the standing confirmation came in this afternoon. The documentation for it was stated in the application, but then the documentation followed that. And does the board feel the application is substantially complete?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And do we want a site walk or a public hearing?
No.
No, okay, I agree. All right, so could the applicant or the agent for Hancock Lumber please come to the mic, state your name, and your position with Hancock Lumber, and then give us I think, a brief overview and any questions you have of the board, and then I think we'll get right into the evidence review.
Of course. Happy New Year, everybody. My name is Paul Wainman. I represent Hancock Lumber. I'm here with colleagues, Mark Hopkins, Florian Nappi, and Ben Dwelewski. We're looking to lease about 44,000 square feet of the building, 152 Portland Road, which I think is about 116,000 square feet. As we discussed at the preliminary review, we will be using about 10,000 square feet for millwork storage, which is kitchen cabinets, doors, and windows. And then about 34,000 square feet for a wall panel assembly plant, which is basically framing wall panels indoors as opposed to on a job site, putting pieces of wood together with nails. And I think that's it.
Okay. Any questions from the board on the evidence?
What's happening to the coffee shop?
That was my question as well,
Okay.
because of the traffic flow.
I can't answer that question, but Josh Quinn, who's here to represent the landlord or the owner of the building, can certainly answer that.
Good evening. Josh Quint for Stone Soup Realty. So we took,
Address?
sorry, 152 Portland Road in Bridgton.
Okay, thank you.
So we took a look at the space available in that front section of the parking lot of the facility, and there's about 120 feet of space there between the coffee cart and the loading docks that Hancock is proposing to use. The trucks themselves that Hancock outlined seemed to be, box trucks and normal delivery vehicles that would fit perfectly fine and have enough room to swing within that space. So we did not come to a determination about the longevity of the coffee cart. As of now, it can go either way, but it seemed at least like we can facilitate what Hancock's trying to do without being in the way of the traffic line going through the coffee cart.
What if it's trailers?
Trailers for Hancock?
If trailer trucks are coming into those docks.
Right, at a
I saw in the application that you're using box vehicles. Are there any trailers ever coming into those docks?
Yes, they would be.
Yes, there'd have to be.
Yeah, well, that's, so a trailer's 60 feet. How does that work? Does the space work?
There's 120 feet of space between the coffee car lane and those loading docks.
I'm just concerned, somebody half asleep getting their cup of coffee in the morning, and the trucks
Sure.
trying to back into the bays.
The number of trucks that Hancock had outlaid in the application, I think were fairly minimal in terms of daily traffic.
And by the way, I like the coffee trailer, so this is.
Sure. Everyone
nothing
seems
to
to
do
like
with
it.
the
We're
coffee.
trying to figure out a way to keep it. If there's a serious concern about it, then we can take a look at whether it's practical for it to continue being there.
I mean, it's placed right in front of the bays.
Yes,
that's where
but
it is.
yes, but it's also placed at the midpoint in the
That
section
parking
of
space.
the section of curb there.
Right.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yeah, just following this, I would imagine when you take a wall frame out, it's going to be oversized. And so I think that's what we're considering is when you have a truck bed, you have to have a flatbed truck, and you have these oversized wall panels going out. So that's a lot of space being taken out.
Yeah.
Is there, Ms. Day, in the fire, well, of course, the fire chief would only be commenting on large fire engines, which may be less than the trailers, right?
It'll be smaller than trailers.
Smaller.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Day, do you have any insights or comments?
We did discuss this as the department heads. I actually did go take a look to see the flow the other day, just to see if thought it was going to be an issue. I kind of mentioned it to Josh as well, that it could be a concern. I think they can do it, but we may, we did talk about possibly moving it if need be, but there is quite a bit of space there, and he's talking not from the coffee cart itself, but actually the lane of traffic to the building is the 120 feet.
Because we have a retail establishment there in front of, for the retail store. So you have retail traffic and being generated by that as well.
And they're mostly down the other.
But
Yeah, I know it's down the other end, but I'm just saying, looking at this particular drawing, the retail site's right here. And this is where the coffee,
Which drawing are you looking at?
I'm looking at their, then we could look at, by the way, you did a nice job. Of course,
Yeah.
you did a very nice job in the application, thank you. Well, I just want to make sure that you know that you did.
So it seems like there's, if it did need to be moved, there's a couple ways that could be done. Because right now, it's, cars approach either side.
Either side. I mean, I think it's good Dunkin' Donuts got a little competition.
It seems like it could, depending on the number of parking spaces that are needed by your facility for the retail marijuana sales.
Sure, so if I could just speak to that. So
Yeah.
the parking spaces directly in front of the retail store are the only parking spaces that will be used for the retail store if Hancock moves in and begins their proposed activity. So the parking spaces against the larger wall section to the right of the retail store, it's the ones against the
Right.
larger warehouse wall, as well as additional parking along the far, the southern end of the property that abuts the line with Bell Point, would also be available and cover, I believe, what Hancock is looking for.
Where are your employees going to be parking?
My employees
Not
for the
yours,
cannabis
Hancock.
company. I'm sorry.
Hancock's.
So
Sorry.
the two places that I just laid out. So up, if I could come and point to the map, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
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 Okay. So the retail store is here. The retail store parking extends directly in front of that space. It's right there. So there's parking across the front of this whole building section. That would be Hancock employee parking. There's additional parking along the southern side property boundary where we abut Bell Point, which would be
Right here.
right here, correct? And then, if necessary, additional spots against the building right here, just on the southern side, that front corner of building section D, which would be right here along the side.
See, what I was looking at was I'm assuming these arrows were your traffic flow, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's going right around the
So I'm looking at Mr. Madsen. Yeah, Madsen's. Your retail store's in this location, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do people park in this direction there?
No, they park here against the curb edge.
I see.
Extends across here.
Yeah, the question I have is, you look, see this flatbed across, it's really extensive. Do you have enough maneuverability in the parking lot to get it in and out?
Did Mr. Madsen have an opinion on this? I know you spoke this day in addressing Ken's and Rolf's questions. Did Mr. Madsen have share an opinion on this in terms
No,
of
as we
traffic
said,
flow?
we talked about it for a brief time and nobody had any concerns. We did discuss the coffee cap as well, in the flow of traffic, and none of the department heads had any issues with it, thought there would be an issue.
So just if you could recap, could one of you summarize if the coffee cafe had to move, where would it go?
Do you guys own the coffee cafe?
No,
Okay.
but I shop there.
We honestly haven't looked at other possible sites on the property. The place where it is now is the only place that isn't in the way of either our retail store traffic or the truck traffic that Hancock is proposing, since it's tucked up against the road and an existing curb. If you said that we needed to move it, we would look for other places on the property, but it's entirely possible it would have to go away.
Ms. Day, another question for you. If that coffee cafe was one-way instead of two-way, because there's cars coming behind it, cars coming in front of it, from what you've observed, do you think that would result in a traffic issue on Route 302?
If it was to come in one way instead of two?
Yeah, so right now, there's two windows on that.
Yes.
And
One on the
people
side.
can go on either, cars can go on either side of it. And you cut out quite a bit of potential hazard if no vehicles can be on the backside facing the loading area.
Or what if we took, still had both windows open, because I would hate to take away from their business, because they're pretty busy in the morning. They went the same flow as the traffic for Hancock.
Say that again?
Both sides go the same flow as Hancock has direction of,
Oh, directional.
Directionally, yes.
Okay.
That's not a bad idea.
So
So that
instead
you
of them going like this, they go like this?
yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Anything else on the cafe? You've heard it's 120 feet from the cafe to the building, right? Is that correct? 120 feet from the cafe to the building?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Prof? Are you,
No, I'm thinking about dealing with the trucks,
yeah.
Yeah.
all right? Because the other thing is that, we're in the middle of winter, we start getting piles of snow up everywhere. And that takes away maneuverability space for vehicles. So that's why I'm bringing it up. If it was just like now, summer, it wouldn't be an issue. But if we get a big storm like we had just recently, and we have the big banks there, that also becomes an issue.
So,
I'm thinking that Brenda's idea is a good idea.
yeah, but I think we can also
Because that
condition,
also, the other thing is that when, with Hancock, they can ask their drivers to maneuver in that lot in a certain way, which can also help alleviate the
right.
problem. So, I mean, it's two things, just asking for some directional, how to drive, how to go, how to pull into those docks, and how to pull into the coffee docks.
Can also paint the tarmac so that you know where the cars are supposed to go and
Yep.
you know where the trucks are
Sure.
supposed to go. Okay, that, and the other thing is the snow removal locations, can be put in the findings. Have you, where do you put the snow? That's a big parking lot.
Sure. So currently, if we take a look back at the map, that would be helpful. So currently, excess snow from the front half of the building is generally driven over into the side edges here
Right
and
here.
here.
Right here then, right? Here's your docks.
Yeah,
Here's the
so
dock.
overall-
Here's the coffee guy right here.
Yeah, the coffee car would be out here, because the road runs up there. But along the property boundaries at the two sides. So on this map, you can see the property lines here and then over here. And those two wider spaces right along the side. We use Hilltop Land Development, who also do plowing and snow removal for the Hannaford and the McDonald's and Specs. They're right in the area. They have front-end loaders that they leave right in the area. It's an easy enough.
He does a good job, he does me too.
Yeah.
So, and this is gonna be a fence here, so you're still gonna have adequate room because you don't wanna really get the snow into this traffic path?
Yes, ma'am. I'm saying that we would likely increase the amount of removal as opposed to just
Push.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you. Other questions?
How much dust does this,
It's
does the
minimal.
work?
It's minimal dust. I mean, we're cutting small, small cuts on lumber. We're not grinding lumber down or anything like that, so it's minimal dust.
And how's the sawdust, what do you do to get rid of the sawdust?
We sweep.
What?
We sweep it.
And where's it go once it gets in the,
Do we have that? Do we have any extraction?
Yeah, we dispose of it properly in our current facility.
okay.
What's properly?
Means
We
best way.
have a company that comes in and takes it.
Okay.
Question?
This is a question that I don't know, so.
Sure.
The dust from the marijuana growing facility and the dust from your plant, that's not gonna intermingle at all, is it?
No, these are separate places.
I
We've
understand,
got a
but
wall.
what kind of wall is being built? Is it a masonry block wall? Or is it's drywall?
Drywall, a 1 hour firewall a demising wall to separate the two sections of the building.
Mr. Gibbs?
What sort of first aid station do you have or facilities for this workshop?
Well, standard first aid. Safety is a primary concern for Hancock Lumber. So both on the traffic flow and on the wellness of our employees, there's adequate first aid facilities. There is obviously from a traffic flow perspective, we'll make sure we're doing it in the appropriate way. Mark just made a comment that reminded me that all of our deliveries in and out, most of them were, with carriers that are very familiar with our facilities. They come here every week, so it's not people who don't know and don't understand our facilities. So that these are drivers who take adequate care.
Yeah, I was mostly concerned about the people working on the framing.
Yep.
I did work in a place like that, and fingers and hands were...
Yeah, all the equipment is guarded. I mean, we have a facility here in Wyndham currently that does similar work. We're moving that facility here. All the equipment is guarded. We have appropriate first aid facilities if there are any injuries. We have a facility. We have 4 sawmills, so we're very used to this type of work and keeping our employees safe at all times. So it's not the same practices that we follow in all of our 4 sawmills and our roof truss plant in Fairfield and our existing wall panel facility in Wyndham will have the same protocols for this facility.
I assume that do you follow OSHA standards for safety?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have. I mean, we're bound to. With 700 plus employees.
Okay, thank you.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Is all the new space you're taking over ADA compliant?
I don't know about currently, but when we refurbish the bathrooms, they'll be refurbished to ADA compliance.
Okay.
I think it's great that you're moving in the town and bringing 25 jobs to the town.
Yeah, concur.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Kathy, any questions?
Can I assume that once the sewer is available to the facilities, all of them, you'll be connecting to the sewer line that will eventually be in use?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. So we hooked up to the sewer expansion this past summer as the crews worked through in front of our building. After a couple conversations with the water district, we will be utilizing the sewer expansion, although because the facility has a very large septic system, private septic system, our hope is to be able to utilize the sewer expansion for solid waste and to continue to utilize the existing septic system for gray water.
So what's the capacity of that septic?
It's in the application.
Gallons a day.
No, it's okay. I believe it's
2,600 gallons, I think, or
Yeah,
2,500
yeah,
gallons.
It's the daily
What's
water
that
capacity.
convert to, like, number of employees?
300 employees.
It's 25 bedrooms, I know that.
Yeah.
25 bed, okay.
It was built and rated for 300 employees working.
All right,
Yeah.
that's the question, that's the answer I want.
2,500 gallons of liquid per day,
Yeah.
4,500 gallon septic tank. A lot
Okay.
You can put a
of
hotel in
flushing
there.
possible.
So if it doesn't work out, you have another opportunity.
Okay, so private septic for gray water, public septic for solids. So,
That's the eventual plan. For the moment, it's obviously still all on the septic system.
right, so just, okay. All right, I think we can put that in the findings, just for, so I get it straight, since myself and staff will be writing on findings. So, does that, I'll show you my naivete about wastewater. Does that mean that the bathrooms will be hooked to eventually to the public, And all other water uses just will go down the drain to your septic? Is that what that means?
That would be the simplest way to do it. There were some more complicated conversations with the water district, but about different ways that it could be done, but that would be the simplest way to do it. To my understanding, the proposed operation that Hancock is bringing is not a significant or really any user of water on the property. It's just their employees having bathroom access, which the system.
And there's sufficient, clearly sufficient capacity in the current wastewater system to handle, private wastewater to handle everything. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Kathy, any other questions?
Nope.
Anybody else?
No?
Is there anybody, we're not holding a public hearing, but if there's anybody in the audience that, or on the phone that wants to speak to this, you're welcome to go up. Looks like no. Okay, seeing none, I propose we close the evidentiary period and start deliberations.
Do you need a motion for that?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Consensus.
Not in this particular case. So, let's start with, get this out of the way. So let's start with the first thing in the code, which is the land use districts. So schedule of uses.
Light industrial?
This would be manufacturing, light. And I think what we determined is that this type of equipment is straightforward, not complex, and you're not really creating a new material from chemicals or something like that, okay? So I'll try to write that up in a representative way. So that is an acceptable use in the inner quarter, and I think furthermore, we said we did not see it as heavy manufacturing. Okay? On to dimensional standards. It's an existing lot, which is quite large, and the frontage is substantial for the entire building. How much, it looks like there's a good 100 feet of frontage, even though it's not required, even just in that one section where they'll be traveling. So to me, it looks like it's not non-conforming, it meets the frontage. It's not in the shoreland zone, so that doesn't apply. And in the inner corridor, maximum lot coverage does not apply. And minimum contiguous private open area does not apply.
It's existing.
Yes.
Yeah, not to the inner quarter district. Okay. Maximum front setback line is 25 feet, but this is grandfathered, so I don't know if it's exactly 25 feet. When I write the findings, if it is exactly 25 feet, which would be the parking lot, is where that would start.
Yeah.
And you got the greenery area in front of it. Either way, if it's less than 25 feet, it's an acceptable non-conformance. If it's 25 feet or more, it meets the standard. And I can write the findings so that if the board will allow it, so that it states it one way or the other, that it's, and I can maybe get the code enforcement officer to go measure it for me. Okay? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Minimum setback line from any common lot line, applicable to all structures, 10 feet. Again, there's a...
Meets it?
It meets it. There is a driveway that goes around. Again, I could have Brenda take a look at whether it meets the setbacks on the side there. It's not in the shoreland zone. Maximum height of the principal structure, accessory structure, it's definitely less than 35 feet. well, actually 45 feet, sorry. And so that's not an issue. Okay, so that takes care of those standards. Now the district-specific space and bulk standards for the inner corridor. Maximum front area setback requirements. This is an existing building, and therefore, it does not need to meet this 65. They would have to move the whole building up to the front of the lot, and the building's existing, so that's non-conforming, legally non-conforming. B is, I don't know if there's more than 200 feet of continuous linear plane. I don't think so. But in any case, if there is, it's not conforming. Yeah. Well, you've got windows on the one half of it, and then I don't think you count the loading block as one continuous plane necessarily. I don't know.
Well, again, it doesn't matter.
True. And facade, that's non-conforming, legally non-conforming. Building projection, legally non-conforming. Street wall not regulated. Garage and parking is existing, and probably meets A. Probably meets this section, but if it doesn't, again, it's legally non-conforming. I can look at the maps that have been provided and check out some of that when I write the findings. It's not a corner lot. Landscaping. There's already landscaping on the front of Route 302, which in a prior application, for Canuvo, the applicant had said there. Beautifying, which I think is in progress, right? And sidewalks, again, it's pre-existing. You'd have to wreck the landscaping to put sidewalks in, and it's so that's also falls under the non-conforming standard. Any questions on any of that?
No.
It's not the shoreland zone. Unless anybody tells me different. Okay, site plan review. What I propose is that we use what's been represented here in the narrative and, the figures that have been submitted to us when the findings are written up. So if you have a concern or we need a condition, please jump in.
No, the write-up is pretty complete.
Yeah. So it meets the general uses as far as we can tell from what they've described, what they've represented, including the comprehensive plan. Preservation, enhancement of the landscape, they're not cutting anything, so they're not doing anything that would detract. Relationship to surroundings, it's an existing building. The building has been beautified in the past. Vehicular and pedestrian traffic. I think this...
Vehicular traffic, we need to...
Yeah, I think either this one or on traffic circulation, which is on the interior drives and parking areas. Vehicular and pedestrian traffic refers to the roads and the traffic going in and out on Route 302 into the site. Traffic circulation refers to what happens within the site. So what does the board want to propose there? I'll get my pen. It sounds like we got a couple of things we want to propose. One is
the coffee shop have, the lanes for the coffee shop are parallel.
Is there a direction that they should be going this way or that way?
It's going to be up from whoever, what Hancock wants to do for the entrance for their vehicle.
Okay.
So coffee shop lanes will be parallel and will be striped.
And be in the same direction.
And be in the same
direction.
as,
You probably should have an entrance and an exit for your trucks.
right, same direction as the Hancock truck traffic.
Especially since it's on 302.
Yeah.
And I think on that, so what was it you just said? Could you say that again? You just said you should have entrance and exit marked?
Yeah, there should be an entrance for the truck traffic and an exit for the truck traffic, and duly marked.
Wouldn't that apply to the vehicles, the cars as well approaching?
Yeah, the cars would obviously come in the same spot, going into their coffee shop or trailer, whatever it is. Kiosk.
Coffee kiosk? They do have good coffee. And I would think the striping that's put for the coffee kiosk, it should be obvious that the trucks need to stay on the other side of that, I guess. So, I don't know if you want to put like a 5-foot, I mean, this is just an idea, whether you want some sort of 5-foot line that the trucks don't cross over, or whether just making sure that it's clear that this is for vehicles for the coffee cafe and leave it at that. I mean, let's face it, if they're backing up, they're backing up. So
Well,
they're not going to see a line on the ground. And they're going to go in and then go out
They're
like
gonna go
that.
in the entrance, pull there, and then come back like this.
Right. So maybe we don't need that.
You don't need that.
Okay.
All right.
All right, is that
I think
everything?
what you need is to make sure that the cars in the coffee trailer stay in one line.
Staying where they're supposed to.
Yeah.
No wandering.
Chief-
Parking.
Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Parking. Surface water drainage. Impervious surfaces. Public utilities. Advertising features. Special,
Is there going to be a sign for this?
yeah, I think it's
Yes.
just like a Hancock. Could you speak to the sign, please? And he did include that, I believe.
Yeah, it's
They did include it in there.
It's directional signs only. We're
Yeah.
not.
only directional.
Yeah,
sign.
this is not retail for us, so we're not advertising anything there.
So they're not looking for visitors. Special features of development, they spoke to that. They're going to have something behind the fence and something within the building. Exterior lighting.
They did say that there would be some additional, but it would be the same as.
Right. Emergency vehicle access, Mr. Garland, any concerns? Not giving me the thumbs up.
Did you say something about in your impact statement on sprinklers?
I did,
You want to go to the mic?
sorry.
We might as well cover that one now.
As far as the sprinkler that exists in the building now, I did request from the building owner that they have their sprinkler company look at that and have a fire protection engineer sign off that the sprinkler system was adequate for this new proposed use. And we got that letter today, that's all set. They're good with that, so.
So no upgrading is necessary.
Okay. Great. And that letter will be in the file, right? Okay, great. Municipal services, water quality, groundwater quantity and quality, air quality, water supply, soils and erosion control, Sewage disposal, I think I would write the findings to say what the intent is, but that the current septic is adequate. Okay. Scenic impacts, noise.
I think they addressed that.
Yep.
How noisy is the equipment?
Yes.
How noisy is the equipment when the plant's running?
I mean, the noisiest piece would be a nail gun.
Okay. I'm just curious.
But the sawing will take place.
Yeah, the nail gun is probably louder than the saw, I mean, the
Okay.
mechanical saw, but the nail gun is probably louder.
But again, OSHA's going to require hearing protection over
Yeah.
a certain decibel limit. Okay. Scenic impacts, noise, it's not in the floodplain. Adequate technical and financial capacity.
Got that.
Special regulations appear to not apply. It's not an institutional use, not residential, childcare, educational institution. It is not an industrial use, but we will double check that.
Isn't it light industrial?
Yeah, I thought we
But
determined.
light manufacturing.
Oh, manufacturing, okay.
I think that was light industrial before.
So it could be considered industrial use because it says the assembling, which is the key word, fabrication, finishing, manufacturing, packaging, or processing of goods.
Is that allowable in the inter-corridor?
Well, it is,
Good, well,
but it says, or do we find it to be a public nuisance by reason of emission of dust, fumes, gas, smoke, odor, noise, vibration, or other disturbances?
no.
It's industrial use, right?
Yeah,
Well, the way I read the definition, it is
It
because,
says assembling, fabrication, finishing, manufacturing, packaging, or processing of goods or extraction of minerals.
because what it says in this standard, so I believe, I concur it's industrial use. It says, if it found by us to constitute a public nuisance, then we can't make that finding until after public hearing.
It's not a public nuisance.
yeah, there's,
But I think this board is saying it's all happening within the building. What's happening in the building is controlled by OSHA. And there's not an excessive number of loud trucks that are traveling in and out. And there's quite a bit of distance between the abutters anyway. Okay? And there's not an emission of dust, fumes, gas, smoke, odor, or noise.
It has to do with the dust.
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, so I just want to make sure. Road design does not apply. And I think that covers it. So I accept a motion to tentatively approve this application for Hancock Lumber pending with the following conditions. Or, excuse me, let me start over. I accept a motion to tentatively approve this application for Hancock Lumber pending the findings of fact and conclusions of law with the following conditions that will be under traffic circulation. The coffee shop lanes will be parallel and will be striped and be in the same direction as the Hancock Lumber truck traffic. The entrance and exit for the truck traffic will be the same. The entrance and exit for the truck traffic will be marked and will be the same as for the coffee kiosk traffic. And I believe that's it.
Yep.
Okay, so you made that as a motion?
I said I'd accept that as a motion.
So moved.
Okay, so there's a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. 4-0. You are tentatively approved.
Thank you, we appreciate that.
Staff and myself will write up the findings of fact and conclusions of law, and they should be available at the February, whatever it is, first Tuesday in February. And that will formalize the approval.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, with the board's permission, I know we're close to 8 o'clock, but I'd like us to be able, I think we can close out, hope we can close out the final two items without going over, say, 10 after 8, 8:15 at the latest.
What are the final two items?
Final two items are Rolf Gravel Pit, North High Street, maps 11, 11A, 1, 3, 4, and 5, and Mountain Road condos. Mountain Road condos is actually first. And, boy, so I lost one member, but we have three. So I think we should just go with Mountain Road condos, and I'll inform Mr. Gibbs. So you have a notice of decision letter, which I wrote for the preliminary subdivision plan in the one, that's been in the OneDrive. And what I'm looking for is a motion to approve that notice of decision letter for Mountain Road condos.
You want to make that motion, Kathy?
Yes, I would like to make the motion that we approve this
So
notice of decision.
moved by Ms. DiPietro to approve the preliminary subdivision plan, notice of decision letter. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Madsen. Any discussion? Doesn't look like there is any. All in favor? 3-0. When Mr. Gibbs comes back, I'll see if, I don't know if it's proper for me to have him join the vote, but we have a quorum, so that's okay. Just a reminder, this is the preliminary plan approval, not the final plan
Right.
approval, and it's
Right.
got all the stated conditions on it. All right, on to the findings of fact and conclusions of law for Rolf. I do want Ken to be, so Ken, we just approved the notice of decision letter for Mountain Road condos. Do you have any objections? Because you weren't here to vote.
No objections.
Okay. You know, if you want, what we did is we just moved to accept that notice of decision letter. Do
Okay.
you want to join the vote late or not vote?
I want to see him say he's not in favor of it. Get punchy after a while.
We'll just leave it at 3-0.
Okay.
He wasn't here for the discussion. 3-0.
Yeah. I promise not to have 2 cups of tea before the next planning board meeting.
And you
I
will
think
need
you
to
should
vote
have
on
3
this
cups
when
of
we come
coffee.
to the final plan. Okay, so let's go over on to the Rolf Gravel Pit, findings of fact and conclusions of law. And let me just very quickly review what you have in your folder. So I wrote up the findings of fact and conclusions of law, as you know. I had a couple of areas where I wasn't sure of the board's interpretation, but took a stab at it. And then I had, and I'll go over those with you, and then as to whether those should continue to be included. And then there were a couple of factual clarifications I required regarding the application, which I asked the applicant to provide me with, and the applicant has done so. And so I just want to go over all of that to make sure everybody agrees with what's there. Does that make sense to
That's
people?
fine. Can we start at page 1?
We can start on page 1.
Well, I'm just saying, go through it that way, please.
Yeah. So on page 1, you see that there's no, and anything that's a proposed change is redlined. I'll explain whether it was a clarification made by the applicant or whether it's my suggestion. So is everybody, so what you should have open right now is Rolf findings of facts, 12/29/2022, draft 2.
Draft
Oh, okay,
2.
that one, as opposed to the 1,
I have
2,
draft 1.
22.
Yeah, you
Oh,
should look
draft
at.
2,
You
draft
should look
2.
at draft 2, which is, if you recall what I told you on late Thursday was,
Right.
there were still a couple references and other factual
Damn.
clarifications to be made. Okay, so if you would open that. Thank you. You want to do it on my computer, Ken, or? Because I don't.
No, I had some notes for something, but that's okay. Don't worry.
All right, well, why don't we get going?
Sure, go ahead.
Please.
All right?
If you've already taken care of what I found, I'll be a happy guy.
Well, there were a lot of spelling errors which
I
were
wasn't gonna
discovered,
wordsmith you.
which was discovered by,
I wasn't planning on wordsmithing you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
on page 1 starts the procedural history. That's it. Unless you see red line, it's exactly the same as the first draft. On page 2, the procedural history continues.
You see red line?
Not on page 2, no.
Yeah,
Are you guys following?
right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good.
we're following.
Okay. On page 3 of the draft are the first clarifications or corrections. So you see in red line on the subject property, instead of calling it access road, we're calling it existing access road. And that's so that one can differentiate the existing access, because I had a hard time with this actually when I was writing it. The existing access road from the new feeder road. So the existing access road had already been in place when this application was started.
Okay.
That was a clarification asked by, or suggested by Mr. Adams. And that clarification is also in item C, which I have no issue with. And then the feeder road, which is actually the new access road, so that goes to the pit, is,
400 feet long.
I had 800 feet, but I wasn't sure, so I asked for that to be corrected. It's 400 feet.
I thought it was 600, but I guess I'm wrong.
No, 600 from the
600.
beginning.
No,
Beginning.
600, this is the pit feeder road. So see, this is where it gets confusing.
Oh, yeah,
So
okay, I got you
that's why
now.
we're calling the existing access road, existing access road.
Right, I
And
got you.
this other road is either called the pit access road or the new access road, or, as I've described it, a feeder road. If it makes more sense to the board, I can take out references as a feeder road and just call it the new pit access road everywhere, if you think that's,
No, now that you've explained, of course, feeder road is fine.
okay. The next set of changes come on page 4. And recognize that some of the footnotes didn't carry over the way they were supposed to. They jumped to the next page. That'll be fixed. Neighboring structures and uses, again, existing has been added. And then a clarification on the location of residences. I've listed where the closest subdivision is, and that's approximately 3,000 feet north of the parcel and 4,000 feet from the pit area. Okay, and this is a clarification I requested from the applicant.
Okay.
Okay?
On proposal, next down. A.
Okay?
Now, if I remember correctly, when you came, and this for you, when you came before us, you said there was 40 to 50 years with the bigger pit, not the smaller pit. My question is, with the smaller pit, is it still 40 to 50 years?
I would assume so, yeah, that area that got removed out, there wasn't as much material in there. The bulk of the
wanted to be
material was in the
sure.
middle.
Yeah, that's a good clarification. Okay?
And then in B, on average, you wrote, on average, 1,000 yards of sand will be extracted for a total of approximately 52,000 yards over the lifetime of the sand pit. It should be, on average, 1,000 yards of sand will be extracted per week, or whatever it is.
Oh, it'd be a,
Yeah.
yeah, it's 52,000, good correction. It should be 52,000 cubic yards of sand, not over the lifetime of the sand pit, but per year.
Per year, that's.
Per year.
Over the lifetime of the sand pit. It just
Okay.
should be per year, I think,
So it's 1,000 yards per week and 52,000 per
on
year.
average.
On average, gotcha.
And remember, there's no standard that covers that. This is just a statement of.
No, the standard is that we can't remove over 100,000.
That's for rock crushing,
Yeah.
remember.
Sand is little tiny rocks.
Yeah, you can't, if you're gonna mine rocks and bang, 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 crush them rock, that's what that applies to. Okay, and then you see that there's been a clarification here, which again, I asked for. So these bold, where it's bold will be removed. Some of the brush and stumps will be ground and chipped, and some will be used as for erosion and sediment control. I think as described in the application, they'll woodrow them up so that nothing can escape. Nearby residences and wells.
One question. On that, and B, on the fourth line from the bottom, it says the stumps and brush will be stockpiled and screened. You don't screen stumps and brush, they get ground.
Oh, okay.
I just-
I missed that. I do remember you correct that. Where is that?
It's on B, the fourth line up, it says and screened. I just deleted it.
Fourth line up.
Fourth line up from the bottom.
Oh, there you go, okay.
Oh, and screened, yeah.
That was, yeah. I missed that. Won't be screened. Okay? That's correct, as I recall. Nearby residences and wells, you see this bold area here because, I just need to clarify because the statement in the narrative ended at Alpine and then went on to the next comment. So a question for the board here. So Mr. Adams has clarified exactly where these public drinking water supply wells are and listed them. I do understand that there's an eight lot or a common water well for 8 lots in the Alpine Village area. I don't actually know the differentiation between that and a public water supply, but I think we should strike that if that's not what DHHS has listed. So Kathy, maybe you know, is there a difference between a public water supply and a common water supply?
Yes, a public water supply has to supply at least 25 people for 60 days continuously.
You just answered my question. So I think what we should do is strike the entire thing in bold, which is not as definitive and is actually incorrect. So at least the first comment. And I think we should leave the second statement in bold. Sand extraction operations will be over 1,500 feet to the access road and over 3,000 feet from the, well, actually, I think it should just say sand extraction operations will be over 3,000 feet from the aforementioned, 3,000 feet. Actually, I think we should strike that whole bold area. And
Which
just,
is what you did.
yeah, because later on, when we talk about the specifications for that, that's where that 1,500 feet comes in.
But you do have to mention the nearest wells.
I am. This area in red will be included. So what I'm proposing is to strike what's in bold,
Right, okay.
okay?
Yeah,
Because it's incorrect. All right?
that's all.
And
is
this
better.
refers to a spec,
Yes,
which we don't, doesn't, and this is actually correct.
okay.
Okay? Soils and erosion control. Again, I needed to know what the reference was. So the bold where it says CXXX, the XXX will be struck, and the 1985, is that really surgical or is that a typo?
Surficial geological map.
Yes,
Surficial.
Yeah, surgical.
And then in that map, it also explains where they got all the information and it references all the.
Right.
So surgical refers to a cut-up map.
All right. You see a typo corrected in G? Just stop me if you have anything, because I'm looking at the paper. Again, existing access road existing is added to describe the current access road.
You're on page 6
I'm
now?
on page 6 now.
Yes.
It's also used in J twice.
Yeah.
On to page 7. Again, I needed clarification on the total area of the pit feeder road, which was incorrect at 4,000, and it's 8,000.
By the way, above that, it says the planning board affirmatively finds based upon this, you have and other information,
Oh, okay,
And,
thank
yes.
you.
Okay.
Got it. Right. And- All right. Relationship to surroundings, no changes on the rest of that page.
One question on that. Did you update the sheet number? It said C10
Where,
on B, preservation of landscape. Showing up.
is that the wrong sheet?
Yeah, it's C104.
Oh,
What page
I
are you
probably,
on?
I meant to say one, that's a
Yeah.
typo.
7.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I missed that. That's correct. Sheet C104. Okay, I say C104 in a billion other places. On to page 8. Again, the addition of existing for the existing road. On to page 9. Again, just making it clear where the parking is, that it's at the end of the new pit access road.
Right.
And not somewhere else. There's some typos in surface water drainage and then the addition of existing. Under impervious surfaces, again, clarification of the new pit, what's the new pit access road and the I think the language there is a little messed up. It should say there are no impervious surfaces beyond the new pit access road. It should say there are no new impervious surfaces beyond the new pit access road.
You should say there's no impervious surfaces beyond the 600 feet.
No, actually, yeah. So what we should say is,
There's no impervious surface beyond the first 600 feet of the new pit access road.
well, no, it's the first, we gotta, I left that out actually. So the first 600 feet of
impervious.
the existing road, well, the whole existing road is impervious. Because gravel roads count as impervious surface.
Okay.
So the entire existing access road, which I've said here, is impervious. And it doesn't matter whether it's paved or not, it's still impervious, okay? So that's actually correct. But the new impervious surfaces are the new pit access road. So I think I would say is, this should be reworded to say, the new impervious surfaces are the new pit access road, and the existing impervious surfaces are the access, is the existing access driveway. So I can't say there are no new impervious surfaces beyond the new pit access road, and it should just say, the "and" should come back in, comma, and the existing access driveway is the only impervious surface within a setback which is allowed by town ordinances and state regulations. I think that fixes it.
Okay.
Make sense? Okay. Page 10, again, the existing clarification, and under K, a typo. Under M, again, adding the clarification of the existing access road. Page 11, some typos under O, and then in addition, a clarification made by Mr. Adams, which is correct and is represented at the last meeting, is our condition was not ad infinitum for the water testing. It was for
5 years.
the 5 years. Now, I put in here for at least 5 years, because later in the condition I describe how it ends at 5 years. And so obviously,
Another correction, a little further up, where it says, watershed will not be adversely impacted. Excavated for stormwater, you have form, it should be from.
well, I do that all the time, if you read my thing. So better tell me where that is again? It's under water quality?
It's under water quality. 1, 2, 3, 4. 9 sentences down, first word. They form the pit, it's from the pit.
Okay. I'll just write on here, because instead of, what I'll probably do is, I think,
You look for form, you'll find it.
yeah, I'll look for form everywhere in the document and change it to from where it's appropriate, because I did not type that word well. Okay.
I'm glad you're doing the typing.
Oh, yeah, this is really an extensive FOF.
Fountain had a lot of comments, so there's a lot of info in the findings. On P, groundwater quality and quantity, again, clarification of new pit access road versus the existing, correction of a typo, and then an air quality down at the bottom.
You're careful with your correction of typo. You have ASND.
Well, the S is struck.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Need new glasses.
Yeah, you do.
Oh.
I should, down at the bottom, again, see, existing is added, and I've added will be because it's conditioned, as opposed to it is. And then both roads are posted at 15 miles an hour, both the new pit access road and the existing one, just for complete clarification. 13 is clean unless you point out something. Top of 14, I had asked, I had in the 90-some letters we saw a letter which had a photo from, I think from Shawnee Peak, and so I needed to have that referenced. I haven't gone through so Mr. Adams actually found that. I haven't gone through all of this, but I will go back after this meeting and be sure that is the proper letter. I don't think from the site walk there were any photos taken. I looked at the site walk photos. I didn't see any that would show that. Okay. So I'll leave that in with your permission that I will confirm that. You're going through 90 letters and you see photos and you're like, okay, where did I see that?
Yeah.
There's a typo. And then on to page 15, there's a couple of typos: inadequate technical and financial capacity. On to page 16, nothing there. Page 17, typo at the bottom. Page 18, form to from. And,
You,
I think that red mark just means I started to do something and then I didn't. So,
under petroleum usage,
which is up above there.
isn't it, meets the standard of petroleum usage reclamation? It's not a
Oh,
reclamation,
yeah.
not the reclamation.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
What's that?
That's what happens when you cut paste, thank you. Meets the standard of petroleum.
Oh, yes, not the reclamation part.
Thank you, good catch, Rob.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, next page. Intersection with the public road, again, some clarification to call that the existing access road. Same down on access road requirements to make it clear that both.
Page 19, right?
Yep,
Yep.
we're on page 19, and I'm on access road requirements C, to make it clear that both the existing access road and the new pit access road will be, treated for dust. Here you have your 600 feet, which was, I think was mentioned earlier.
Right.
And then, again, just some typos and clarifications concerning new versus existing.
Page what?
We're on to page 20 now. We're still on page 19, I just finished page 19. Okay. Page 20, routing. The comment in red you see there, additionally, any town roads which cannot carry the capacity or weight of certain trucks is signed as such. I added that because we talked about it in the meeting, but I forgot to put it there, so I want to know if the board is okay with my addition of that statement. And that is the case, obviously. I mean, whether it's a temporary sign or a permanent sign, the roads are signed for carrying, for their load capacity. Okay. Groundwater impact, again, I've clarified on B, the
First 5
testing
years.
for at least the first 5 years. And then on public water supply, just clarified exactly how far away the well from Knights Hill is, because that was brought up. You already know what all of them are, but just to make sure you understand, it's 2,500 feet from the parcel property line. It's much further from, as stated earlier, from the pit area. It looks like sand is misspelled in the red there.
And you also have groundwater impacts should be water supply setbacks in the next sentence.
Good catch. Okay. Water use, it's okay. Acceptable groundwater impacts. Okay, here again, where it starts at the bottom, it says alternatively. I added this because we did discuss this all along the way. This particular standard only applies for withdrawing water, but what I've said is alternatively, if it did apply, what we had found. And I'm happy to totally strike this in red or leave it in. The purpose of alternative findings is just to be very clear that the board discussed something in case there's confusion about the standard itself or disagreement. So again, it's totally up to you.
Yeah, and I think after that, you need a this, the
Okay.
last line.
Where,
That this proposal meets the standards for acceptable groundwater
oh,
impacts.
that this proposal, okay. What's the board's view on leaving this in? Rob, what's, thumbs up, Kathy? Yes? Ken, do you have a concern with this? We addressed groundwater impact earlier in the standard for the wells. So it's just, this standard is a different standard. And the reasons I've added this is so people are not, A, confused,
Okay,
and B, if they are confused, it wouldn't matter anyway.
okay. Okay.
I guess that's the best way to
That's a
put it.
good way of putting it.
Okay. Extraction limits, I made an error in representing what we discussed. If you recall, extraction limits apply, and if you pull up the standard, extraction limits apply only to rock mining.
Really?
Yeah, we did discuss this last week.
Yes, I know, but it doesn't quite make sense.
Well, so let me just pull up the standard as a reminder for everybody. It's 8:20, so hopefully we'll be done shortly.
Just as long as we get this right, it's fine by me, how long it takes.
We did discuss this as a board, and if I go to the land use code, to the site plan,
Maybe in the site plan, I don't know.
it's in the additional procedures, V9, I believe, or V8, excuse me. So, number 14, which is what this is, extraction limits, and I can change the title so it's exactly what the standard says, so it makes it clear. But the standard says, is entitled rock mining / extracting limit. The maximum limit of material that may be extracted from a rock mining / extracting operation per year is 100,000 cubic yards. As we discussed, this doesn't apply because they're not mining for rocks and busting up boulders and withdrawing rocks and sand.
But they are extracting.
It's also clarified on page 95 of the land use ordinance, where it says if you're for rock mining extraction operations, a survey report of the quarry material on site to be excavated, calculated, and certified. It's implying that it's a quarry, not a sand pit.
Yeah. So you're really mining for rock. Here you're mining for sand. Will there be some small stones that'll get picked up and screened as they describe? Yes,
yeah.
but that's not mining for.
Yeah.
Now.
But I thought that the word extraction covered all types of extraction. Well, that's
Well, no, it does talk about in the definition what extraction.
We define rock
Yeah.
separately. It says, a naturally occurring solid aggregate of minerals or mineraloids. In general, rocks are of three types: indigenous, sedimentary, or metamorphic.
But I'm talking about the slash, that generally is an either or. So either rock mining
But that's,
or extraction.
if you read the standard, that's not what it says, though.
Okay.
The standard refers to rocks, doesn't refer to, basically talking about, so go back to the standard, which is on page 90-something, I think.
I'm just saying, rock mining extraction limit. Rock is defined, and we're not mining
Right, we're
What's
not
defined?
mining the rock.
So,
So I think it's actually pretty straightforward, Ken. There's no rock being
okay.
mined.
That's okay.
I liked it, by the way, when it included sand.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Rolf didn't.
I don't think we have anywhere near that, but I just didn't want, I don't think we can even get close to that.
Let me
That's a
just,
lot of trucks.
yeah, I'll go back to the standard.
What section is it?
It's in section V8, which is specific to rock, and I read it earlier. So it's entitled Rock Mining / Extracting Limit. So the context of that is it's for rock mining. The standard says the maximum limit of material that may be extracted from a rock mining / extracting operation
It's 100,000.
is 100,000 cubic yards. So
That's page 9.
rock is the adjective used there, or the
Page
descriptor,
99.
on page 99. Needless, I am stating what the process will do anyway, which is quite a bit lower than 100,000, and as stated by the applicant, I think the applicant would have to come back for an amendment if they wanted to do more, because they would be expanding the pit area, or going deeper, or adding a lot more equipment. Did you find it, Ken?
No, I haven't yet. I need the,
Here, hold on. Let's get, because we want to, so you're,
no, we're in here,
yeah.
mineral extraction.
So you're going to go all the way to additional review criteria, to
Right.
number 14, right down there.
Right there.
There's no blasting, as is mentioned earlier. There's no quarrying for rock. So there's no rock mining, period, and no extracting of rocks. There's no rocks going to be sold from this.
There's no rocks really in it.
It's all sand.
I mean, you're gonna get rocks when you screen out the tailings and stuff, but those are mostly gonna stay there.
Right.
Yes.
So I suggest we move on while you read that. Okay? Okay? On page 22, I've added, well, there's a typo, and then I've added the condition, and the board should be capitalized. I've added the condition the CEO will visit and inspect the site once per year. That was a recommendation of LEA. We talked all around it, but didn't put it in the motion for conditions. And the applicant had no objection to it. So I think we should, my recommendation is to add that as a condition. Is that okay with you folks?
Yep.
Okay. You still with us, Mr. Gibbs?
Partially.
Do we need to stop? Are you looking
No,
up
no.
the definition of rock now?
No, I don't quite agree.
Well, you should have said that when we had the discussion last week, or 2 weeks ago.
It's very complicated what we did talk about, of course.
So do you think they're mining for rocks?
I think that it's mineral extraction or any extraction. So you have rock mining or other types of
But
extraction.
that's not the way the standard is described, and the definitions differentiate rock from other.
It says rock mining / extraction limit.
That refers to not just any
Extracting
extraction.
limit.
The descriptor is rocks, not all
And
extraction.
rock is a definition of.
It's a standard specific to pulling rocks out and quarrying.
Oh, I understand what you're talking about, but a slash indicates parallel information. And so it means you can take rocks out and just leave extraction in order to read it as a definition.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I agree with that. I think that's a descriptor that means rock, mining and/or extraction
Well, the
of
question,
rocks.
actually, the real question is, do we at any point say that the limit would be 100,000?
We did discuss that.
We discussed it, but then we also discussed and concluded that this standard did not apply because they're not mining for rocks, they're not quarrying.
We said that they weren't quarrying, but that doesn't mean that it was limited. It's
Yeah.
not limited to 100,000 cubic
Well, I
yards.
think we're getting into semantics about this that don't apply to the standard, or they wouldn't call it out. They don't say any extraction at all. What they don't say is the extraction limit for any material is 100,000 cubic yards per
I'm
year.
just saying, if it was important and we talked about it, we could be putting it as a condition. But I don't think it was part of the motion either.
It wasn't part of the motion, and we concluded it did not apply.
And I think it's the only way we could put it in as part of the motion.
So, my feeling is if we agree it doesn't apply,
Plus the
then
applicant
we,
says it's
but
fine,
then we
put it in.
apply a limit.
I think you just gotta go back to where it says, a survey report of the quarry material of the site shall be excavated, calculated, and certified, and that says mining extraction
I think you're
operation.
okay, you're okay.
Right,
And then if you go to the quarry definition, it's clearly talking about a quarry.
right,
You're actually mining for rock, you're not.
right. I
Yep.
think, I recommend we leave it as is. I don't know how we set a limit, a condition for something that's not a standard.
Wording preceding that also refers to mineral extraction, which covers sand.
Wording preceding what?
Preceding what you're discussing there.
But that's a different standard.
I
That's hours of operation.
I think the implication is that they're referring to any term of extraction.
I totally disagree. It
Okay.
says rock mining / extracting limit. Rolf, you two need to weigh in.
Yeah, this is definitely not rock. And when I think of quarrying, I think of actually cleaving solid stone
Right.
and pulling 25-ton chunks out for foundations or...
It's,
I don't know.
it's the use grammatically of a slash, and if you just have rock mining, are they not going to extract it? Why do they include extraction?
So what are they extracting? Rocks?
Well, if
Whoa,
you
whoa, whoa,
just said,
answer the question, what are they extracting?
no, you're not looking at it as...
No, it
as
says
two
rock
equivalent-
mining / extraction. What's being extracted in those three words?
And you don't need extraction in there. If you say rock mining, they're going to
But
extract
what's
it.
being extracted?
From rock mining, rocks. From
Okay, and
extraction, any mineral is being extracted.
Yeah, that's not what the definition says. So, I mean, I'm not in favor of imposing a limit because I don't think they have the capacity to do it anyway. But if you want to impose a limit that's a condition, I will not put it in this section. I will put it in section about sand. And you need to have a reason why you're imposing a limit. Because I don't think this standard refers to that, and I don't think Rolf or Kathy agreed that the standard refers to it. And last week, we said this standard did not refer to sand.
It seems illogical that in putting these standards together, that they would say, remove any amount of sand that you wish.
Well, why does that seem illogical? There's all other things. Traffic, which we,
Well, they do it for rock quarry, as you say, so why is
because
that
rock
logical?
involves blasting, tailgate slamming.
Okay.
What else does it, maybe, it involves blasting, tailgate slamming, crushing rocks that make a lot of noise. That's why they say that, I imagine. Where sand doesn't, we did a noise study, right? And it would be totally different if it was rock crushing and blasting.
Actually, if you read the definition, it says the maximum limit of material that may be extracted from a rock mining / extraction operation per year. So it's saying it's a rock, it's an
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And when I read mineral extraction, it says, God, I haven't done this in a while. Any excavation or removal, storage, handling, or processing of sand, gravel, aggregates, borrowed stone, rock, clay, minerals, metals, or topsoil. The definition includes sand pits, gravel pits, clay pits, borrow pits, quarries, mines, topsoil mining, and removal operations.
And this is a borrow pit for sand, is what it is. It's not a quarry with rock, it's not rock crushing, it's not blasting, it's not excavating rock. Rock is defined separately in the definitions. There's a reason for that. And rock crushing is defined separately in the definitions.
And sand isn't defined.
Sand is not defined. It just says that if you're extracting, you can extract all these different things.
Now you get to see the fun we have at meetings.
So if we're gonna put a condition on that, I think gotta have a reason. Or we just move on.
I think if we wanted to put it on in our discussions with the applicant, we should ask if he would have been willing to have an extraction limit. And it was interesting in the discussions that we had. There was another asking of Rex of whether or not about the forest and could we leave it as, define it as forest forever, protected, and he said no to that question. So I would assume that if we tried to put an extraction limit on it, I don't think it would be part of what he thought our deliberations would have said.
That's correct.
So,
I
even though personally, I'd love to see it there, I don't know how I can put it there. So you know how I feel.
I mean, if the applicant wants to volunteer to it, I think that's one thing. But what they've represented is, and I think Mr. Rolfe represented this, is they can't process, in order to process more than that, they would most likely have to change the application and come for an amendment.
I don't want 120 trucks coming out of there. And I think actually when talking about the 40 to 60 trucks, we're approving 40 to 60 trucks a day based upon statements made by you as representing the applicant. And if also we had 100, we could say something about it.
Right. If you increase that and you change the findings in this, then they have to come back to the board. And the findings indicate 52,000 yards a year. So they would have to double their operation if this was a spec. So do we need to vote on this?
No. Let's go to the next thing so we can fight over some more wordsmithing.
Okay. Now I gotta go find where I was.
I forget what page we're on.
I think you're on page 21.
Oh,
We were on page 21.
Yeah.
So, as you know, the rest of that statement says, the record represents, which is an important comment, the record represents that the applicant proposes to extract approximately 1,000 cubic yards of sand per week over a year's time, or approximately 52,000 cubic yards per year. The applicant represents that this average level of extraction is near or at the maximum, should say, maximum amount of sand that may be processed with the equipment and the process, I should put, represented in the application. So I think it makes it very clear what the applicant is representing. if they're gonna change that, then in any significant way, they have to come back. Okay, page 22. On to 22. We were there a minute ago, and then we took a detour.
Sorry.
It's all right. Section V8D, post-approval requirements. I have added the statement in red based upon the fact that LEA recommended that. We talked about it. We didn't put it in the motion for the conditions. The applicant represented that it is acceptable to them,
I think it should be there.
and I think it
Which
should
one
be
is-
in there. And Ms. Day, do you have any objections to
Oh, that one, yeah, no.
Visiting
once a year?
once a year.
We look forward to it.
Probably get Brenda to agree to a whole bunch of stuff.
She's very amenable today.
Okay. The page 23, just a typo in red at the top. Page 24. Clarification on the specifications. Freshwater, it's more than 250, the sand pit is more than 250 feet away from a freshwater wetland. But that spec applies to what if it's 10 acres. 10 acres or more, I should say. Are we okay with that? Okay, I will triple check the standard to be sure. Okay, conditions of approval. The reason this is red did I add that? I think I did add that.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. And the reason I put that there is he's currently got a permit for up to 2 acres, and if it goes beyond 2 acres, you have to come to this board, and so that's what this application represents, is over 2 acres. Mr. Adams had said, had asked about 5 acres, but because that's what DEP, when the DEP requirement kicks in, but the municipal requirement is tighter. So that's why I've added this here. So in other words, this approval will apply once they go beyond 2 acres. And maybe I should say these.
Well, it's 2 acres or 2,500 yards is what the building permit's for.
Okay.
I think, it could be 2,000.
You can add that. I believe you're correct.
But I was trying to also clarify that if you read it, one could just read it really quick, that we have to go get all the other licenses, but DEP doesn't have jurisdiction till 5 acres. That's why I was just
Right.
wanted to make
I think in C that gets captured.
sure. Okay.
I'm happy to clarify that, but I think you said many times, we've heard that many times. So is everybody okay with that? Kathy?
Going a little further on, but under item F, the water table elevation will be measured spring, summer, and early fall at the 6 monitoring wells. Will that data be kept on site, provided to the town, or?
I think I meant to say it would be provided, yeah, I added in red, the water, which one are you on, E?
F.
Oh, F. Oh, I do think the applicant agreed to send that.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
Yep, that's fine.
Yep, it has to do with the elevation of the groundwater, just so that the
Because
data.
he's supposed to be
Okay,
5
so
feet
you're in,
less than that.
so you're in F, because I added something, so you're in what's really the original E. The water from the sand pit site monitoring wells, is that
Yeah,
where you are,
that's
Kathy?
what
Yeah,
she is,
water
yes.
table elevation will be measured in the spring, summer, and early
That's
fall.
G.
It's G now, okay.
Okay.
I'm looking at the wrong version then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something's screwy.
Yeah, yeah, you
It
want
was
to be
read
looking
it-
at
it was
version
read it
2.
because
Okay.
I was wondering why I have different
Okay,
shades
so-
I don't
here,
have that.
printed black.
G, so we'll come back to that.
Okay.
But yes, that's fine. On C, what's been added is to clarify that this is a standard statement in all findings, and it's a standard condition. So this is just to clarify that it applies to the agents, the appropriate agencies, not ad infinitum for anything, okay? So if it's not regulated until it gets to 5 acres by DEP, you're not gonna have them not, the municipality allows them to go beyond 2 acres. So they will get the DEP approval when it gets to 5 acres, which they've stated. Okay. Then on, the new E is the water testing. Is everybody okay with that statement?
And did you change it for 5 years or whatever?
Yes.
At least 5 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Struggle a little with, I think you gotta be careful using words like significant trends, because what's significant?
Yeah.
They're gonna go to the Saco River Commission and the town CEO every year, so I think if there's a concern there, it's gonna come up. Okay, so on G, water table elevation will be measured spring, summer, early fall at the monitoring wells within the sand pit excavation area, and results provided to the CEO.
Where you would, paragraph?
G.
G.
G. It's your G.
That's the way the CEO knows that they're properly following
Yeah,
their commitment.
so we're gonna add it,
I'm adding it to the end of G, the water table
Yeah,
elevation. Yep. So the CEO will get the results. On L, just a clarification on the
performance guarantee.
performance guarantee. Because this approval doesn't apply unless it's 2 acres or it's more than 2 acres. First 600 feet of the existing access road.
You said 2 acres, but the ordinance says the performance guarantee is at 5 acres.
Where does it say that? Because the approval's for 2 acres.
Post-approval requirements. Reclamation performance guarantee is determined by the annual inspection report. Once the surface area of the extraction operations exceed 5 acres, the property
Okay.
owner applicant must comply with.
I stand corrected.
And I remember that too.
Were you okay with M and N?
I am. And that's
Okay.
it?
O, just clarification existing and new package.
And you had it.
I have one other question for a condition,
Yep.
whether or not we can do it. Can we put a condition of no blasting is allowed?
We did discuss that, so,
It's in here, it says no proposed blasting or crushing.
I know, but I want to make sure it's part of a condition.
There's no talk in there to blast in the area.
Nick, I know that.
Yeah.
This is
I-
more of making sure.
this is just representing this is just putting a condition on what's been represented because.
I just think it's important, because if it's just making sure, you keep telling us it's sand, I want it to be sand, I certainly don't want to be 4 years from now having some operation going on out there.
I think if we had to do any blasting in the pit area, we'd have to come back.
I think so too, but that's why I'm saying,
Yeah.
just to clarify it.
I think if you put that in there, then it also clarifies this section that doesn't apply. So if the one that we discussed for so long, if you say as a condition, no rock mining or blasting will be conducted as
Within
a
the
part
area.
of this approval,
Yeah,
then
I mean, that just takes-
you've done it.
Yeah, we don't have a problem with no rock mining or
Okay.
blasting within the pit area. There's no rock to be mined.
And I've been in the pit.
Yeah.
So my point is, I'm trying, this is a bit of a controversial application. I want to make sure that people in town know that we've covered everything to make sure we've done the right thing here.
Yeah, I mean, like the rock mining was a quarry and we get a sand pit and we don't need to blast anything in that pit area for anything. I mean, there might be something that they had to do on the road going in for solar and during construction and, because there's
But
lead.
that's all done.
Not all the utilities and everything else haven't been run and everything else.
But it's the pit I'm worried about.
Right, the pit, as long as we clarify that it's within the pit area.
Yep.
But there's no proposal of it, but something could happen, like one big rock's gotta be moved or something, but that could be up on the solar farm itself or something.
Okay,
That's all
so,
done, isn't it?
No,
No.
it's still in the works right now. The road is up to it, well, up to the pit road, and then continue the log up to the solar.
so this condition would read,
That no rock mining.
No rock mining.
Or blasting.
do you want it to say no rock mining, no rock excavation, or blasting operations are permitted with this approval?
I think, don't we have a definition of rock mining?
Yep.
We use the rock mining definition or blasting.
Okay.
I'm just trying to cover ourselves with our definition.
Rock crushing,
We have rock crushing.
no rock crushing
Or blasting
or blasting
So I'm going to put
is allowed in the
pit area.
pit area.
no rock mining,
Rock, what'd you just say?
Crushing.
Crushing. Or
no rock
blast
crushing or blasting
is allowed in the pit area.
is, I would rather say is permitted with this approval. Because I don't
Well,
want
it's
them
fine.
blasting off the side of the road somewhere.
That's fine.
Okay.
Not saying they would.
Right, that's what I'm saying, if something happens when they're building the road or something and that approval has already been.
That's a different, I agree with you,
Yeah,
that's a
so if
different
they're
thing.
doing something in that for the solar or the,
But that wouldn't apply to you.
right, that's why I wanted to make sure it was clear that it's the pit area that we're talking about.
So if we
Yeah.
say this approval, it will only be up to where, it'll be from the road, it'll be the access road up
Access
to the
road
pit
to the pit
area
area.
and not beyond.
Okay, I just want to make it clear,
Okay.
but I don't anticipate
He
anything,
wants to keep his job.
Well, of course.
No rock crushing or blasting operations are permitted with this approval. I will say on the subject property. That should make it very
I
clear.
mean, in the record, we discussed it, that it's the
Right.
pit area, pit access.
It isn't something that we didn't discuss.
Yeah, and we just discussed it again now.
So, either way, there's a catch-all, that's the first condition, that says anything they want to change, they have to go back to us. So that makes it clear. Okay, I think that's everything. I accept a motion to approve these revised findings of fact and conclusions of law.
So moved.
First by Mr. Mattson, second by Ms. DiPietro. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. 4-0. There are none opposed, because there's not a fifth person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I see we've got a butters on the line. I haven't seen that anybody's asked for any recognition, which I would give since we gave it to Mr. But I don't.
Move adjourned.
Mr. Mattson moves to adjourn. Is there a second? Second by Ms. DiPietro. All in favor? Thank you very much.